Hey everybody, welcome back to Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. It's time for another Bendis tape, so I hope you're going to enjoy it. Brian Bendis and I getting together. We talk about the New York Comic Con because this was recorded a few weeks ago, and some things happened along with the death of Stan Lee that we just felt it wasn't right to put it out last week. So we are putting it out this week, but great information about Action Comics and Superman and the Jinx World books, and more details about Brian's new initiative with Young Justice and all the other ancillary titles that are surrounding that, and just fun stories. So it's a great time to talk again with Brian for a brand new Bendis tapes right here on Word Balloon. Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon listeners. Thank you very much, League, for your support. It's Thanksgiving week, an appropriate time to thank you for your patronage via Patreon. It's a big help. Word Balloon is here and free. It will always be free. But with your subscriptions, you are helping me get to conventions and make those connections for interesting conversations. You know I've been putting a lot more programming than usual here at Word Balloon in the last few months, and that's because I have that time and the backing from the League of Word Balloon listeners. So if you'd like to help the cause out, you can go to patreon.com/wordballoon or the front page ad of Patreon right there at wordballoon.com. But thank you very much, as always, for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Word Balloon is also sponsored by Aftershock Comics. They've been shaking things up at your local comic shop and are doing it right now. Great hit series. Marguerite Bennett and Raphael De La Tour have animosity. There's the Lollipop Kids from Aiden and Adam Glass and Diego Yapur. A Walk Through Hell by Garth Ennis and Gordon Suzuka, as well as Baby Teeth, the new hardcover coming out from Donny Cates and Gary Brown, collecting the first 10 issues. That will be in shops on December 5th. There's the series Beyonders by Paul Jenkins and Wesley St. Clair. And Aftershock's first original graphic novel, Witchhammer, a great book from Cullen Bunn and Dalibor Talik. That will be in comic shops on December 19th. We'll have more information on Witchhammer because we'll be talking to Cullen Bunn in the days ahead. But in the meantime, you can check out full story descriptions, preview pages, and the diamond codes on these books to order through your local shop at AftershockComics.com. All right, without further ado, let's get into another Bendis tapes. Man, I hope that we get a chance to record another one in December. We were talking about it because Brian's going to have some house guests, and we'll try and put something out. Now, you're not going to hear any conversation about the passing of Stan Lee because, again, we recorded this a couple weeks ago. Brian and I forget the name of the artist right now, darn it. In the New York Times Sunday section, Brian did a great one-page comic talking about some of his fun moments with Stan, and they're moments that we've covered here on Word Balloon. And I even for a second thought about putting together a clip show of some of those great moments. But you know something? You can go back, look through the archive. There are other great people like Danny Fingeroff who had great conversations about Stan, working with Stan on his biography, and of course, years at Marvel as well. Dan Slott, always great conversations about Stan. But that's why you won't hear any tribute from Brian regarding the passing of Stan, because, again, we recorded this a few weeks ago, right after, or I should say right before, Action Comics 5 came out. And, Brian, let me look at that, and that was that very emotional issue with Superman and Lois, talking about the status of their relationship and what's going on with John. Man, we've seen preview pages. John's going to come back a little older and angry, just like in classic soap opera tradition. I always loved when they would do that. They'd have a kid on a soap opera. They'd send him to summer camp or whatever, and he was 12 years old. The next time you saw him, he was 18. It always made me laugh. So it'll be interesting to see how John Kent ages in the months ahead. But really excited about this conversation, as always, with Brian. We got some quality time hanging out in New York, face to face, which is so rare and always appreciated. So enjoy this next new Bendis tapes on Word Balloon.
This is my first podcast with you in the new house.
I like that. Yes, indeed.
And my last house.
Here's hoping. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, here we are. Welcome again. Another Bendis tapes.
Hello.
It's time for Brian Bendis' podcast. I love doing this and taking a back seat to the man as we have another great conversation about what's going on. And
I was delighted when you posted the numbers that we had the number one show of the year last year.
This year.
This year. I we've been doing this a long time, so it was lovely to see so many people tuning in. And then it occurred to me that I had to almost die 3 times and change careers completely to almost tie Tom King. So that was fun. But I did it anyway.
Well, actually, your first Back from the Dead podcast is still the winner by a good 10,000 of both of those conversations.
Thank you to the morbid 10,000 who literally only wanted to hear about me suffering in the hospital. Thank you. I'm joking, of course. It actually, we're just coming from New York Comic Con, where you and I had a really good time.
Yeah, we did.
And that really is when there'll be days where I'm literally signing for hours on end, and it's just people talking about like whatever their medical issues were or whatever. So it's been really like an emotional healing thing to talk to people about. I've never had that before with people, so it's nice to hug people who've survived stuff and connect.
Yeah. Well, and I never put 2 and 2 together, and people who listen to the podcast I do with Art Baltazar and Franco know I didn't realize you both had the same kind of MRSA infection. He had it on his leg.
Yeah, and may I say, one of the very few people who comes to me and tells me a story with MRSA with a happy ending. If there's one thing that's a little bit much, it's how many people come up to talk to me about who in their life passed away from it. Yeah. And after a while, it's like so much I can like emotionally take. It's because it's like how many times do you need to be reminded a day how close you came? But that's a selfish moment. People are really trying to share like this the craziness that there are just infections in the world right now that there is no cure for. You know what I mean? People just keeling over. It's hard to talk about. I know it bums people out when I mention it, so we'll move on. But it's weird to come up to a showman at a show who does what I do for a living, and our only connection is that we're friends with you. Like, well, I don't know him other than we know, like we both love you, right?
Well,
so we come up and we both had an infection that almost killed us. I don't think you're the thing that caused the infection. Now that I'm thinking about it out loud.
I wasn't sitting on your face.
Was that what he was trying to say to me? Because he came up to me at master class and like he showed me where he had the MRSA, and then he mentioned you muttering, and I went, oh yeah, maybe that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, I am the carrier. I am patient 0.
You're like Gwyneth Paltrow in Contagion,
or David Hedison, I think. No, not David. Something like that in the new Planet of the Apes movies, the first one. He's the airline pilot. He's the carrier.
My reference was from this decade, so you probably didn't get it.
You're right. Okay. Nice. I didn't see Contagion, I have to confess.
It's actually a very good Steven Soderbergh movie, and if you don't particularly care for Gwyneth Paltrow and want to blame her for all of society failing, it's a really good movie. And you could pretend like it's Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop killed us.
See, now
totally works on that level.
I love her as Pepper Potts, but
I do too. I love her in a lot of things, but
Sky Captain, unfortunately, she's kind of one of the things that holds Sky Captain back. Let's be honest.
Watch it again. Nothing holds it together. Anyway,
so
I actually saw it for 10 minutes recently. It's on like HBO now, like every 5 minutes for some reason, because that's what they do.
Sure.
And give it a gander.
I may,
give it a quick look. It's a woo, and it's referencing stuff I love, and it's a bummer.
I want to see. Well. I want to see the Hervé Villechaize movie on HBO. Now that we're mentioning HBO real fast,
sure.
That Dinklage did, and also I won't deny Phantom Thread. I got to watch Dan DeLue.
I didn't get through that movie. I tried.
Interesting. All right, good to know.
And it very well may be. Remember, I just survived near-death experience, and that movie tests your patience. And I was like 3 weeks out of the hospital when I put that in, and it's a lot of the sound of like silk being worked on, like, and it's like after about 20 minutes of it, I go, yeah, you know what? Life's a miracle. I got to move on. And I love the filmmakers. I love them, but I'll have to give it another shot now that I've calmed down a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. So, and I can appreciate – dude, I have trouble and don't have a lot of patience for films. It's an hour or a half hour, and that's good enough for me, and I got to get back to work. You know how it is.
No, yeah, and also it's we're at an age where we've seen a lot, and I need to be seeing something I haven't seen before, or be shown something that's being done excellently. Mm-hmm. Like I need a John Wick excellent movie if it's a genre picture, or I need just to see something I haven't seen before.
I'm with you.
Yeah, you know, we're just there, and it's cool. You get to sift through, and every once in a while you'll find something really, really special you haven't seen before. So
very cool.
Yeah, no. But back to New York.
Yes, because I know a lot of things happened.
Yes, we went all the way to anyway.
Well, it was a quick tangent, but no, I was going to get back to New York because a lot of cool things that you participated in over the weekend.
I tweeted that I thought that New York Comic Con was one of the best shows I'd ever been to. The energy was quite amazing. Again, I have a kind of a weird bubble that I'm in, but you know, a lot of energy comes at you from where we're standing, and you can kind of tell how things are going. It really felt great.
Agreed. Yeah.
To me. People seem to be really having a good time.
No, and again, they moved a bunch of stuff. They had been moving stuff off-site anyway, a few panels and things like that. But also, I think truly a lot of the anime stuff and manga stuff was off-site. And I'm sorry, it's nothing against the manga fans. It's just that there were just too many people ever since they merged those two shows. And it became unpleasant, frankly, trying to get around. And this year, for the longest time, was a good situation, and it was easy to get around. So
yeah, and I wonder if it eclipsed San Diego this year. I know that I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings. I like all those people and all that, but it seemed larger than San Diego, and so it was like 250,000 people. I mean, where does it become the thing,
Yeah, but I know that number is also them tapping people in, tapping people out. If you left for events at Madison Square Garden and came back, you were counted twice. Stuff like that.
I count if you walked by me on the street. That includes my appearance people. Like people I like when I went to Duane Reade to buy something, that counts.
Sure.
Yep, it all counts.
I know that Duane Reade. What was I going to tell you? I finally, I had never gone to Midtown Comics until that weekend.
Really?
Well, I just never had time, or when I did, it was closed. So on Saturday before I got to the show, because the subway wasn't running between Times Square and Javits, I'm like, something. I was going to walk anyway, and I'm like, I'm right here. What the hell? So I went there, and I also went to that great bookstore that has nothing but plays. That's also on 40th Street.
Yeah, I love that place.
Yeah.
I work them online all the time.
Yeah, so that was fun. But back to you, because I know one big day you spent a lot of time with Frank Miller, didn't you?
Yeah, and I was going to say, you made me think, but years ago, me and Matt Fraction would come to New York for the Marvel retreats, would be around this show as well.
Sure. And,
we would go to Kim's Video and the Ziegfeld Theater, and all those places are gone, man. I know I sound like an old timer, but this is like they were gone from like 4 years ago. So it's a bummer. Like this New York Renaissance we used to have, you can't really have anymore. But yeah, this was a crazy show. It was my first time back in New York since I left Marvel. So it's like my first time having dinner with Joe, and I ended up at CB's house with a bunch of friends. I posted some pictures from there too. So like right away, it became like a reunion, and it wasn't like I planned dinner with Joe, and I planned to find CB sometime around there, but right away it became like this big reunion, and emotional because so much has happened.
Sure.
But me and Joe had like a barn burner of a dinner. It was great, and then literally down the street, Alex was with CB and Jen Grunwald, two, previous editors of Powers, and they said come over. And when I went over, it was Jason Aaron and Jonathan Hickman and Scotty Young, and we just sat all night. And Esad was there. And,
oh, cool.
And then we ended up going back to CB's house, and we just talked the night away. And I don't know what I thought was going to happen in New York, like after all of this craziness, but it was like so magical and lovely, and we got to all catch up really, really fast. And, just like everything was like back to where it was by the end of the night. And then it was off to the convention. It was crazy.
That's great.
And the next day, They asked me to do the DC Masterclass, and I posted some articles about it. There was some press there, but when I was asked to do it, didn't have a full understanding of what it totally was, but it was like teaching. And I thought it was just for like the up and coming younger creators and interns. And I was like, yeah, of course I will. And I said yes, like months ago. And then like the Friday before the show, they sent me like the RSVP list of who RSVP to come to the class. And it was like 85 names. And it was all like Marv Wolfman and Klaus Janson and Brian Azzarello. It was like all the either peers or my heroes, and I didn't understand. I was like, whoa, what? What am I doing here? And they're like, oh yeah, finally someone's going to teach Marv how to write. Is that what's going on? Like, that's ridiculous. So, but I was so grateful for it because the night before, I'd asked Jim to there's two parts to the class. There's the first half, which is kind of like a panel. So I asked him to do the panel with me.
Okay.
And last year, Grant Morrison did it with Dan DiDio, and they showed me the video of it, and it was a good conversation. And I was like, oh, I knew that me and Jim could have a really good conversation. I knew some stuff about where we are creatively that would be an interesting conversation to have regardless. And then the second half is a Q&A, and it's just me. So the first half blew by. It was like an hour and a half, and it was just me and Jim talking, and it felt like it was over in 5 seconds. It was almost confusing. It went by so fast. And then the second half was one of the great experiences. It was a Q&A, and it was peers and up and coming creators and real legends sitting around just really talking about craft and stuff we never get to talk about. And the reason I was telling you, I was so happy they sent me the RSVP list after I was over my Marv Wolfman flop sweats. I said, oh, I know what to talk to this group about, right? And instead of talking about all the things that worked, I did. We've talked about this in the past on the show. When you watch Inside the Actors Studio and they skip over the failures.
Yes.
And go, with Steven Spielberg, they'll spend 10 minutes on E.T. and then skip to Saving Private Ryan. And you're like, oh no, talk about Always.
And 1941. Yeah.
No, I don't think 1941's a failure.
Well, I love the 1941 too, but we're in the minority. But go on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but why that movie is loud and crazy. Why did you do that? Right. So I was sitting in my hotel room and I go, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about my complete failures, my complete shit to bed, never talk about in public. Because you don't want to even ruin the experience for the reader, the kind of stuff like I could bitch all day and then ruin the book for the reader, right? And that's not fair. Right?
So did Flaxen come up?
See, that's the easy stuff too. Everyone talks about their first failures. I'm talking about, you know better and you fucked it up.
Okay,
right? And I mentioned something I fucked up right in the middle of one of those moments where I was getting an immense amount of positive attention for something else, right? And I was almost getting a pass for the thing I fucked up, right?
Okay.
And it's happened to some people, and when you're getting a little bit of a pass, and you're like, you could beat me up for this. I fucked this up. So I talked about it at great length. But what was great about it is I sat forward and I said, I'm going to talk about my biggest fuck up. And you could see about 6 or 7 people, just because of the way the auditorium was set up.
Yeah.
Some classrooms, you could just see everybody.
Yeah.
I could see 6 or 7 people like Tom King sat up and, ooh, what? Oh, we're talking about failures? Ooh, I'm all in. You could all see them lean forward, and I was I felt oh, good, that was a good choice. So that was a very emotional, intense day, and that was Thursday, and the show hadn't even started yet.
That's what I heard. Or Wednesday, right? Wasn't it Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah. All right, now wait. You're not going to say the failure?
You know what? I'm not, because I'll tell you off the air. It's because it's a book that some people like, and I've had actors shit on a movie so hard they ruined how much I liked the movie. I didn't hear from them that they didn't appreciate the creative experience. I enjoyed it, so I've learned you know what? Someone spent like a couple bucks on this. Why didn't you leave them alone?
All right.
And also, I get fan mail about it all the time. So, hey, shut up.
So definitely not Flaxen.
You know what I mean?
Go on. Yes.
And to be fair, there's other things that I think are masterpieces that everybody fucking hates. So there's the equal.
I'm not going to press you, but all right.
You could guess.
Well, the only other thing.
Interesting that you went right to Flaxen, you son of a bitch.
Well, because that was an old joke when we first started talking. Because I remember, sadly, Jimmy Perv here, remember the Playboy where that woman was in, and she made reference to it, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, it was a Caliber comic, and oh, look at that, Brian and David worked on that comic book. That's hilarious. So
that's funny.
That's
funny. Yeah, Susie Owens.
I didn't even remember her name. That's fantastic. I just remember Flaxen. But anyway, that's awesome.
So busy getting to her truth for that book that we,
and truly, but anyway, wait, real fast about the masterclass. Franco of Art and Franco absolutely loved it, and he said, "God, I must have looked like a bobblehead listening to Brian talk about craft because it was really, including stuff that he hadn't thought about before. It was like, God, so much of it was reassuring of, yeah, we do that. Yeah, I do that. Okay. Yeah, so, he was like, really, honestly, it was a good, I think, sanity check in terms of, and I have had those experiences with broadcasters or podcasters where it's like, oh, yeah, I do that. Okay, good. I am on the right path. Okay. Yeah. It was a funny thing because they came up to me right away and said something very nice and warm. And I had gotten off stage and I guess just genuinely fragile is the word. I was jittery, and I'm like, yeah, and it was funny. Like, it took me hours to realize why I felt so weird. You just stood up in front of 100 of your peers and pulled your pants down, yeah.
and of course, like it's embarrassing, right? And so. I was very grateful because I was a little raw and rough around the edges that they came up and said something nice. And then I'd heard from enough people at that room who felt the same that, yeah, the reason I felt so raw and rough was because I was being truthful and that truth got through. So that
Beautiful.
Was nice. Yeah,
Absolutely,
there was like I've known Brian Azzarello for 25 years. He's never said a nice thing to me in 25 years. Yes. He said something nice to me.
That's impressive. I understand that feeling. Yes, indeed.
I know. I was like, I go, oh my God, Brian, I'm never going to speak to you again.
Let's end it on this. Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. Let's shake hands. Anyway. So I before the show had already started, I had deep, memorable, large career moments in my life that were like deeply moving. So getting to the show, and everything was just going so well. And there was again, a highlight for me was I think on Thursday, or I think maybe on Friday, 1 hour of my signing, almost every single person had new Jinx World books. And that's hard to describe to people, but that's really, really emotional. It's creator owned. It just feels like it's such a blessing is what it is. And when so many people in a row and they were fresh purchases and it was freshly on their mind, it was just really special. So that happened. And I haven't gotten to the Frank Miller stuff yet. So
true.
Yeah, it was.
I'm shame on me for skipping to Friday or whatever.
No, it was that we did this all-star DC panel, and it was weird because I do think that you have to have written at least 10 DC comics to apply for the DC All-Star panel, but they included me, and it was very nice. So, cool. So it was me and Scott Snyder and Tom King and Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor and Sean Murphy. And it was quite an awesome panel. It was really I don't really know a lot of those people, so it was really interesting to hear everyone's stuff. And so that was all rattling. And then we had this awesome dinner Friday night, like a DC dinner, and Kelly Sue was there, and it was like a Wonder Comics dinner. So Jamal Campbell and Stephen Byrne, everyone involved in our Wonder Comics line. Also the announcement of Wonder Comics.
Yes.
So that was one of those days. It's very rare that I completely made the internet happy and I completely missed it. I totally missed it. It was the Young Justice alone is like 7 deep DC fandoms smashing together in joy all at once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then you add on the Wonder Twins and Dial H, like and Amethyst is part of our thing. So it's really about 11 really beloved DC corners all being like let out at once. And so it was such a joyful announcement, more than I thought was coming,
Sure.
I did know a little bit because the Connor Kent people have been up my ass since I signed at DC. And it was a bummer because the Young Justice was literally the book we agreed to the day after I agreed to do Superman. So this has been in development since the day, right?
Wow.
So I've had Connor Kent going since I started at DC, and every day, about every 4 hours, someone would hit me with the hashtag Bring Back Connor Kent, and you can go look at it to see how many times I get hit with this hashtag. And I always felt bad because these seems like good people, and I wanted to whisper, I got your back, but you can't do it. You're not allowed to. Right? Isn't it a bummer? Because they're so stressed out about it. I can alleviate your stress, but I'm not allowed to.
You're not allowed to, sure. No.
So anyway, I was offline all day because the Javits Center doesn't have internet.
Oh, totally. I know. You're in the womb. Yes. And, yes.
So it was quite special. It was quite a special day. I was really happy everyone was so into it.
Totally.
So it was already Friday night. I was ready to go home. It was, and then Friday night, like Kelly Sue, was like a Crime Stopper on the streets of New York. I'm going to let her tell the story when next time we talk to her.
I'll be talking to her soon. Go
what
on.
She did on the streets of New York in front of the entire DC editorial, like fucking Batman. Anyway,
that's awesome. No, that's great. Hilarious.
And then I looked at my calendar, and this is what happened. So DC sent me like a calendar, and it was funny. Like sometimes they'll go, "Hey, do you want to do this?" Right? And then other times they just tell you you're doing this, and it isn't in a you're doing this because we told you to. It's like we know you want to do this. We're not even asking you, right?
Okay.
And so I opened up a file, and there's this day where I'm signing with Frank Miller, I'm on a panel with Frank Miller, and then I have a dinner with Frank Miller. And listen, Frank Miller is the reason my generation does what we do, right? He was the guy who turned it into a rock job, right?
Yes.
He put his name over the credits and all that.
Literally in Rolling Stone. Speaking of making it a rock job,
absolutely.
Yeah.
He made it the coolest job in the world.
Yep.
So I was just like, this is just going to be a thing that happens, right? So and we had I met him and we had hung out in South by Southwest, so we didn't know each other, but we don't know each other.
I understand.
And so I can report to you, I had one of the and I've so, if I may. And I've thought about how to word this because some of it just sounds like fucking bragging. But I was on here just a few months ago and again said every bad thing that happened to me in the course of a calendar year, right? So I've been very honest about when things went very badly. So I think I'm earned a little bit of braggy here because this went so well. I had such a good day.
Wonderful.
I have talked about how badly I have messed up my days with David Mamet and my conversations with him.
Yes, you have.
So I feel I can tell you this went so well. We had such a good day.
Wonderful.
We had the best signing. Just laughs. The panel was great. People were there. They saw it. It was just relaxed and cool. And there was he had this great energy about him. He was being insanely generous to everyone I know. And people were coming up with all the Gene Swirl books. And one of the great moments was he saw the first issue of Pearl. So he grabs it out of someone else's hand, opens it, and goes, "Oh, good Lord, this is gorgeous." And I said, "Yeah, that's Michael Gaydos. We did Jessica Jones together, and we're attempting a Yakuza story with no cliche, it's anti-cliche." And he goes, "Really?" Right? Because this is something we both have worked on, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then we went back to signing, and 5 minutes later, Michael Gaydos, who I've known since college, who's never met Frank Miller, comes up to us with his 11-year-old son, specifically to me, Frank Miller. I said, come to the panel at 4:15. I will introduce you to Frank Miller if I can, right?
Sure.
He comes up to him, and I go, oh, Frank, this is Michael Gaydos. He drew that book you were just looking at. And he points at Michael and goes, oh, dude, you're fucking awesome.
That's beautiful.
And I'm right in front of Michael's son.
Beautiful.
You should have seen the look on his face. It was so beautiful, man. It was so great. And it was all, and it just set how the whole day went. It happened with Alex. It happened with David Mack. Frank was being unbelievably cool to everyone. One of my great moments in life is someone brought the Jinx World poster for me to sign.
Yes.
And I unfolded it, and he saw how big our names were on the poster. And he said, oh, look at this with the big name on the poster. And I said, I learned it from you, Frank Miller's Ronin, and he fell off his chair. I was so proud of this.
This is true.
So we ended up having just a great barn burner of a dinner. The panel went great, and then dinner was a DC dinner, and so I just had this, and then I went home.
Okay.
Yeah, no, literally, literally, the day ended with Frank just saying something really amazing to me and David, and then by then it was David Mack's birthday.
Oh, nice.
And then me and David skipped off all the way home.
That's
literally
fantastic.
Skipped home.
You know, honestly, and I told you this when we hung out and everything before you had hung with Frank, but you, like you said, you saw him at South by Southwest, and I know I speak for all the listeners. What a relief that Frank's health has been corrected and he's doing so much better because, man, those pictures a few years ago with him and Robert Rodriguez, it was like, oh, man, how much longer is Frank going to be on this planet?
As you can tell from this conversation, I don't know the man at all. I don't know him, and so I don't know what was going on back then. I don't know what he's been through. I don't know what's true and what's not at all. But I can definitely tell you that the person I spent the day with was delightful, charming, talking about craft, talking about inking style, talking about how Andy Kupert's the best artist on the planet, just very, very, like whispering to me, not for the audience, things about comics that you would want your hero to say about comics.
Wonderful.
It was really great.
That's great, man. No,
so I left just filled with life-affirming creative juice and just wanted to go make comics.
That's cool. And getting back to Azzarello, I mean, he basically told me the same thing, but of course, swearing at me while he did it. And how dare you even ask such a question? But, that's all right. That's Brian. It's okay. That's that Brian.
No, so. I always feel weird. Even I don't know if anything was wrong. I don't know what, you know what I mean? Like, I know, here's a perfect example. Like, I found out, I was a big topic of gossip at the show because of my weight loss. Like, people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I have good friends of mine have told me, people go, is he okay? And then they go, here's what happens. It was even with Joe. Joe has drawn me a bunch of times.
Sure.
Joe knows the planes of my face, right? And I happen to know they're different now. I used to draw myself all the time too. So I see my face, I know it looks different. It's a different shape. Light hits it differently, right? So when Joe first saw me, he had that look, and then 20 minutes later he goes, "You look really good." It takes a while.
That's funny. No, I get it. Yeah.
So.
I felt that way when I saw you too. Sure.
At the show, when they're used to swollen pictures of me,
right?
Which, I totally understand. So,
hey, man.
So a couple of my good friends would say, "Yeah, you were the talk of the bar."
Interesting.
And it never got any further than, "Is he okay?" "Oh yeah, he's okay." Okay.
No, well, geez, when I saw you at C2E2, I mean, it was a drastic change, and you told me you lost weight and everything. And no, as far as I was concerned, I'm like, Chris, you look great. And I know you're happy because you're back to your fighting weight and everything.
Yeah, so. And someone this was the week of Comic-Con Paris was last year this week. So a couple of fans were posting pictures. A couple of fans were posting pictures from that convention, and I kept the weight off all year. It was great.
Yeah.
Through all of that shit, I kept the weight off. I was really.
It was Spain early this year that you missed, right? What did you miss
Portugal.
this year?
I missed
Portugal. Yes, of course.
It's just some weird show. I never.
Well, yeah, it's just bad timing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
I hear
anyway, so I just wanted. It sounds a little braggy. But what an amazing show! Every fan interaction was unbelievable. It's just really, really cool from top to bottom. Then you go home and make comics.
Did they? I know they posted the DC All-Star panel because I watched the first couple minutes of that, and then I've just gotten busy. But I'll get back to it. Did they post the Miller panel?
I certainly hope they do. I so rarely think that about any panel. I never think, I hope they post that.
No, but yeah, I know. I appreciate what you're saying.
This one, I hope ends up somewhere. I do think it was filmed. I remember feeling it was being filmed.
And I don't know if, and I heard that maybe the masterclass that they filmed it, but I don't know how likely they might even at least show you and Jim talking. I don't know.
Well, no, I think they film it and it stays in-house. Like the Grant Morrison is available to other creators.
I understand.
Jim has a creators program that this is part of. So and the reason like I went into a weird dark place in my class was because I knew it wasn't for public.
I understand. I figured that part. Yeah. I figured that part would be private, but I didn't know. Yeah, no, and I get that, and I also get the value of that in-house for creators.
But I did go. They said, hey, we have the Grant one if you want to watch, and I go, oh yeah, and for a second there, I said because I don't want to go over any of the same material.
Well, of course.
And then I watched it for 10 minutes. I'm like, there was no same material between me and Grant. We're not working on the same planet. It's so funny. Yeah, I mean, he was describing an outstanding circular storytelling technique that you need like 8 years on a Batman run to pull off. And I kept thinking how amazing this would be for Jonathan Hickman to listen to.
I can understand.
It's like only Jonathan speaks this language.
I'm rereading Multiversity and really taking my time with it. That alternate Earth thing that he did a couple years ago. And it's fantastic, but yeah, man, you really, if you owe it to yourself to really sit down and really concentrate with this, much like Jonathan's books, God bless him. Absolutely. Man. So
absolutely. And that was great too. I hadn't seen Jonathan in a long time. It was really nice to see John. And also John looks amazing.
Oh, that's great.
John looks so good. It's like you want to hit him. He has eclipsed Xander Cannon as having the best hair in comics. So God bless him for that. And there you go.
That's awesome.
And now we're just at that stage in our careers when no one shows up looking better than they've ever looked. So it's shocking when someone does.
I understand.
It becomes the slow deflating or inflating, whatever we're doing.
Please, who are you talking to, man? I'm on the yo-yo right now. What do you know it? You saw me.
No, but it's so funny, man, because that's the other thing about the convention. It's and this happened at Rose City a lot too. Like people just my peers will come up to me and they'll go, "All right, hit me, give me how you do it. I'm going to lose the weight. Just tell me how to do it. I'm going to do it. Hit me right now. Just tell me, well, like this." And I go carbs, and I go, "God damn it!" And they walk away.
Exactly. What's her face? Nia Vardalos from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. She lost all her weight, and she said, I had to break up with bread and cheese.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, man. Ooh.
Well, cheese and I didn't have much of a relationship, but bread and rice.
Yeah. The carbs, man. Absolutely.
And I know we talked about it on previous podcasts. I'll just remind people, just because I know we helped a couple people last time, because we hear that the carb thing seems insane. I was eating like 30,000 calories of it a day.
Yeah.
And now I don't even want it. I don't crave it. I literally took my kids out to ice cream the other day, and I didn't even want it. Like I don't go, I'm torturing myself. It doesn't even occur to me.
That's great.
So your body may be screaming at you to stop and listen, and it won't be torture, because people think it's going to be torture just keeping it off. It's really not.
That's excellent.
So good luck. And I know everyone's wired differently and everyone's got their own issues. I'm not saying, I believe me, I understand. I just, for the few people who just can feel like they're on the edge and just need that extra push, swear to God, go for it. My life improved on every level. And when you have Scotty Young on here, who is a big success story, lost a ton of weight.
Yep.
And was hugging the shit out of me. He was so excited because his life quality has improved dramatically. So he'll tell you all about it too. He was beside himself with excitement.
That's awesome. And I'm actually due to talk to Scotty very soon because we talked at the beginning of the summer when he secretly told me he was ending Fairyland and then told me all the cool stuff that he's doing right now.
They're really good. He's got the new.
Yep. So, we're due for a new talk. And I love talking to Scotty. Scotty, not only on comics, but he's such a big podcast listener as well that I really enjoy getting his point of view and everything. So, and literally, I'm like, hit me. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Just what do you hate right now about the show? And it's true. He gives me good, honest criticism, and I need it.
He made me laugh harder than any human person has made me laugh in person at New York Comic Con, at that dinner like at CB's. He made me laugh harder than any human has made me laugh in many a long time.
That's beautiful.
He's a very funny guy.
He's a funny guy and he's a smart guy. Absolutely.
He's funny. Yeah.
I just had Eric Shanauer on, and they did those Oz books at Marvel.
Yeah.
And so a good portion of the conversation was talking about working with Scotty and everything. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, onto the books, and I must confess, I apologize. I am not up to date on Pearl.
You son of a bitch.
I know, but I am up to date on cover, and I'm certainly up to date on Superman in action.
Oh, thank you, Bubba.
Of course. Oh, no, man. Absolutely. Well, Jesus, man, I loved Man of Steel. I thought it was a great miniseries. And
thank you. I don't think we talked about it. Thanks.
Absolutely. And certainly right now where we're at on all the books, and this is coming out after Action 1004 comes out, and that's one of the reasons why I asked you, because we're recording technically before Wednesday. But I did want to be up to date for the readers and the listeners.
I was actually happy you asked. That book itself is a big deal for me. I love Ryan so much. And even though we did one issue Man of Steel together, this issue is actually the beginning of what is now a substantial collaboration. We're doing quite a few issues of Action Comics together in preparation for a very large project that we're starting right afterwards. So even though there will be a break in the public's eye, we will be working behind the scenes very deeply on a project that scares the shit out of both of us in the best way possible. So you just read a book by a creator who I thought in my heart we would really make good comics together. Like, I bet we'd be great together, right? And I was shockingly right. I'm not always right. So
that's excellent. No, and it was great. And it's, again, I won't go into detail if people haven't had a chance to read it this week. But, finally we get, the conversations between Superman and Lois that we've all been waiting for. Yeah. Yes, that's since Lois went away with Jor-El and John. And we get a Jor-El and John update that I think is informative.
You get a Jor-El and John update, and then you're going to actually see what happened with them in Superman. We're actually going to see the flashback. It's actually all drawn by Brandon Peterson.
Oh, great!
So I put some of it online already. It's gorgeous.
So
it's knockout.
So from a timeline standpoint, Action is ahead of Superman. Or not? No,
we're finding out things at different times. It's all about happening at the same time.
Okay, and I don't expect
she comes home first. I'm home first. I didn't need to be there, right? And then John comes back a couple months later with his update.
Okay, well, because I was just wondering in terms of if they were happening, and again, I understand that they're not happening at the same moment. But so they're relatively happening at the same time.
It all makes sense in my head, and really that's all that matters.
Well, and and truly, two great stories because the Rogol Zar story. How do you say his name?
Rogol Zar.
Zar. Okay, that's right, and of course that's the doctor that helped you out when you were
absolutely absolutely.
Which I love. But, no, hey, man, Jack, I'm a Jack Surf fan. Now, he obviously has cut carbs in the Phantom Zone. because
I did not request that. That came from Ivan. Ivan had a whole backstory with the redesign, and I went for it.
That's cool. I got no problem with it. And again,
when you see that much thought, like sometimes you've seen it, like when someone like does a design and then there's an inordinate amount of text with the design. Like something about the design has the artist really thinking. I almost always go with the design because there's so much passion with it. So yeah.
Regardless, it was good. I mean, no, great Phantom Zone stuff, great Justice League stuff. Absolutely, man, great, man. My favorite episode, my favorite issue, is finally Clark Kent, shoe leather, out there getting the story, not afraid, goes into the biker bar to get the information.
Thank you. I've just last night polished off, and actually, it's funny because while we're talking, my editor is kind of live tweeting her read of the script, which is funny, but because it's quite a crazy script I handed in. We have a very big Superman thing happening next May, and I just handed in the script, and it's enormous, and it's filled with crazy, like filled with crazy. And she said, I just read Brian Bendis Superman script. It says her spider sense is tingling. and that's Lois. And I said, did you get to the part where Lois Lane is charging down the halls with a Thangarian crossbow? It's a special script. So we're having fun.
Excellent. Oh, that's great. And man, Vendetti and Brian Hitch with what they're doing with Hawkman. And Hitch told me in my first ever conversation with him about Kryptonian Carter Hall.
Yeah.
And I love it. And no, that's awesome. And I love the reboot of Hawkman and everything that's going on, so that only makes me excited. And certainly even the Thanagarian flashback that we get with Rogol Zaar.
Well, I'll tell you, as I do often and always with anyone I'm working with, I say, hey, anything you're thinking of, any design, like anything that's like in your head, share it. Like, let's talk, you know. And Nick Darrington, who I'm doing Batman with, just sent me a Batman Hawkman that he had sketched. And so Batman went to Thanagar.
Fantastic. In your story? Excellent.
Yeah, it's an amazing sketch that you go, yeah, I want to read that comic book where where Batman gets Hawkman wings. So, and even though I literally would stay away from Hawkman don't go near Brian and Vendetti. They're killing it. You know what I mean? You know, don't touch that. Don't touch Mr. Miracle. Like, don't touch those things. They're perfect. Right. So, but when Nick sent us this Batman Hawkman, we're like, all right, got to do it. It's got to happen.
That's awesome. That's excellent. I love the desks of Clark, Perry, and Lois.
Thank you. It is all of us together. I do a first layer. Mike Cotton and Brian Cunningham come in with the layer. The snarkiest ones are editor Jessica Chen. They're hilarious. There was a couple of references that had to be pulled that were too funny.
Bummer.
Just for legal reasons, nothing.
Oh.
But we are enjoying them immensely, and we were going to just do them for the one storyline, but I think we're going to keep with them. It's fun. There's a lot of stuff in those. Some of those things are jokes, and some of them are not jokes. Some of them are storylines that are coming up. Some of them are fake outs on purpose, and some of it is literally what we think Perry would have on his desk.
I stepped on you. What fake out, for example? Or unless
I'm not going to say yet, because some of it, like some people are super locked into one of the fake outs, and some people aren't. I'm having it's supposed to be fun. You know what I mean?
Sure,
I don't want to ruin the fun by spoiling what is and what isn't. But I can tell you there's something truthful on every page, and something ridiculous on every page, and something I desperately want to be real on every page.
Excellent, man. No, these are like Rip Hunter's whiteboard back a few years ago as well.
Yeah.
So no, dude, you get it. And I knew this. I mean, when we initially talked about you taking over Superman, the planet is so important, and the planet culture is so important to the Superman in the right hands. And you know, I loved Steve Lombard, sexual human resources. You know? No, but I mean, that's the thing, man. And that's what separates Superman from so many other books where you've got, we talk about it all the time, the Greek chorus and everything, the other characters, and how much they matter to the story. And certainly, and right now I'm blanking on her name,
Robinson.
The reporter that was going after the kryptonite and everything.
Oh, Robinson Good, yeah.
Robinson Good. Okay, yeah. No, that's awesome. And also Cat Grant's little interlude. Fantastic, man. Absolutely.
Well, thank you. And
yeah.
Well, it's a little bit of cheating because we are in a phase of our world where people are really into journalism.
Of course.
Even, like they really kind of refound the respect for it.
Yes, indeed.
Kind of one of those I didn't know I needed it till it was gone kind of things.
Yep.
And I think there's quite a few journalists that you and I, particularly, I know we find ourselves very frustrated with because we know they could do better, right? And
yes.
And so I get to write out that frustration instead of tweeting shit at them, at the real life reporters that I'm frustrated at. I get to write what I wish they were like in this book. And I actually had a very long conversation with Greg Rucka because there's one journalist in real life that both he and I wished was more like Lois Lane. So like we keep like projecting Lois Lane onto this person, and it's not there in the real world. So in the real world, we're kind of like really enjoying spending time with Lois, you know?
Yeah, I get it. No, and this would be another moment after the show where I'm going to confirm who I suspect you guys might be talking about, and certainly in as far as her work lately, and it's definitely a she. Yeah, I agree, and again, that's why. No, Perry sounds like a real newspaper editor, and especially when he tells Clark to cover Robinson's, work and everything, and be like, no, you I want you double checking. And I love that moment when he goes, hey, I used to do this with you with Lois. And it's those kind of things. But again, that's why Lois is such a fascinating character and why she's a great character. I mean, and it's like every now and then you got to remind people, it's like, in the reporter world, Lois wins. Lois is the superior reporter. Always has been. And it was funny. It was not to bring up Frank again, but if the panel goes live, we were talking about Lois Lane for a great deal of the Superman panel, and I think I said she's the best character in popular fiction, and I've written a lot of them, right? Yeah, but she may have it all, right? And Frank looked at me like, "Is that true?" And then didn't say anything. like it was like, and you could say he spent the rest of the day like laundry listing characters. And if you really put it out there, you can come up with characters that are her equal, but you can't come up with anyone that's better than her. I agree.
At her best, I'm talking about when she's been written, when she's been being written by Greg or there's so many people have done her well. But I'm talking about at her highest level. Yeah. Not damsel in distress.
But that's why she has Superman's heart. Because he is impressed with her. She is the most impressive Earthling he knows. And that's why she's fascinating.
He's trying to be her.
Yes.
Everyone's trying to be Superman. He's trying to be her. He's active. Yep. And I've said this. I said this on this cast. But that's one of those realizations you have about him. As a fan, I didn't realize it, but as an author, you're like, oh, so much of the story has been thrust upon him. He's one of these characters who was sent here and told what to do, right? And it's a birthright story, and there's many of them. But in that birthright, you start looking at he did everything that his birthright was told him to do, but the choice he made for himself was to be a reporter. Like he could do nothing. He doesn't need a job or money. Right. He's not doing it for money. He's doing it because it serves a passion. He gets to get to truth that he can't get to with physical activity. Right. And then when he gets there, he meets Lois Lane. Oh, that's the goal. So when you realize that Superman's goal is to be her, doesn't that make her the best person?
Agreed. And also, again, that...
and by the way, I don't mean that she's perfect. That when people say the best, you mean... No, she is not perfect. That's no one's interested in that.
Well, sure. No, absolutely. But no, again, yeah, no, and it's we're all waiting for that eventual Lois Lane book, hopefully, because it's just it's been years, and I this is when Greg was at his best writing her. I said the same thing. It's like, why isn't there a Lois Lane book? My God, she is interesting. She's a great. You saw it a little bit in Flashpoint when they let her be by herself, and she could tour the DC universe literally. And because she's such a great investigative reporter, it's right there. And that's the thing. It's like taking nothing away from Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's a great character. But it's like you said, no, Lois Lane is really a great, great character. And in the right hands, it's amazing. And there are great stories to be told. So,
and so to have, access to one of the great characters in pop culture who happens to be a reporter under siege, while everyone in the world knows what that really feels like now, it's kind of an even a bigger blessing than spending time with Superman all day. You know what I mean?
I do, and truly, that's why I thank you for letting me see 4 now, because there's some great. I mean, again, not spoiling. There's great conversations between Lois and Clark, and that's the thing. He needs her, and he really. I mean, you get that feeling of, Jesus, my life has been crazy for the last 3 issues without you. And it's great that she's back because he does need her. And it's a terrific conversation, and it explains, I think it answers a lot of questions that people do have in terms of the marriage and having John, and how does that all work? Can they still be the characters we love them to be as father and mother and husband and wife?
Yeah, and also some of this, and by the way, for fans who read 1004 and what's going to happen with this couple moving forward.
Yeah.
Marriage in comics is a debate I've always been interested in. It was one of those things that you hear. Like it's the death of drama. It's you know what I mean? Like
sure, because we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen that way in a bunch of television shows.
Absolutely,
where the tension is gone. Yeah,
yeah. We're all raised on will they or won't they shows, and as soon as they do, the show's over, right? Yep. But see how they kept going for 2 years, right?
Yes,
we all grew up on Moonlighting, right?
Moonlighting's a great example. Yep,
and Friends and Cheers, and it was really. All of these shows were a will they or won't they show. It was kind of the thing, right?
Sure.
And for some reason, the shows always peaked at the moment that they did, and it was never, well, we're going to get them together because then we're really going to have a show.
Yeah.
It was always holding it back as long as we can because once we do, the show's going to fall apart, right?
Yeah.
So I would be in these rooms during like the Spider-Man marriage debate, the one more day, and it wasn't just a project. It was debated in company amongst us, amongst creators, amongst fans. We've always discussed it, right? And there would always be debates in Marvel Cinema about Tony and Pepper. Like
sure.
Robert Downey Jr. always wanted things for Tony and Pepper, and they would debate them, right?
Interesting.
And so I would, and I remember like someone said something like. Who's cool? Iron Man. You know who's not cool? Dad. Right? And I'm like, if Dad was Iron Man, I still think you could make that cool. And then I've been married a long time, and I think me and Elise have a very romantic relationship. I don't mean to be talking out of school or anything, but anyone who sees us gets annoyed pretty quickly by it. And so I personally live a very vital romantic marriage, and with a lot of kids. Like there's a lot of responsibility, and we still find time to make out every day, right?
Attaboy.
Not to be gross, but I'm an adult. We can talk about this. So when writing these characters, and you've been told, well, if they're married, it kills them. I'm like, I know that's not true, and also all marriage isn't the same shape, right?
Right.
And so this idea that we're putting forth in Action Comics 1004 is kind of a reflection of what I was already feeling about with Luke and Jessica. That was my first statement on, no, you can have a funky, cool marriage and be aiming towards the same goal and fighting the same fights and backing each other up without beating each other up or up each other's ass or fighting all the time. You can just, your partners. My wife's my partner, right? So
yes.
So Lois and Clark are in a very unique position and situation, and they have a unique relationship to their child. In fact, you could even relate to it as a special needs child. He does. He has special needs that other kids don't have.
Sure.
So with that comes a different mindset and different things. So this going forward is kind of my continued argument against that mindset that marriage or relationships or commitment is somehow not romantic. I think it's insanely romantic. And I know that, we live in a soap opera world where everyone breakups and stuff, but having this relationship between them, that's all you need to know. Like, what are you fighting for? This, because this is a microcosm of everything, right? So that's why I'm excited about this issue and putting it out there, because it starts the beginning of a kind of an essay about what I think is romantic in fiction, if that makes sense. Yeah. And also, like we're adults, and like I have a different feeling about what's romantic and exciting than I did 20 years ago.
Sure.
Yes. And I think this issue reflects that, I guess, to me.
I agree. And also, King recently, obviously, with Batman and Selina doing the same thing. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, this is why this is such a great time right now, because older readers and younger readers, they don't know what they missed in the past. But that's the thing. The storytelling has evolved, and you really can get deep into these kind of character moments. They've been there before with other things. I mean, Peter and Kitty Pryde and the X-Men and stuff. But again, I do think that where you guys are in your own relationships, and also where comic writing is right now, everyone's moving up a notch. And this was a really great Clark and Lois issue.
Well, it's rewinding a little bit to what we talked about the DC Masterclass, because that was one of those times where I got to sit in front of about 3 generations of creators, or at least like a sampling.
Sure.
Of
Bronze Age, Bronze Age, whatever they called the 80s.
Like the Marv Wolfmans, the Me and Bryans, and, the Cascades and Art, So, and in there, and Tom was there, and Joss Williamson. So there's there, and when you see everybody all together, the one commonality was we damn well know there's nothing standing in the way between us and the truth on our page, right? Like, even in corporate comics, we can get to our truth in a way that people in TV and film have to navigate a much harder thing. Like, we have a direct line to our truth if we choose to go there. So what you're seeing is, I feel, a reflection of a lot of creators, that are gleefully applying their truth to their work. Let's use Tom as a perfect example of someone who's saying, yes, this is my issue. PTSD is a very big issue for me. I'm going to fucking write about it, right? And everyone, and so that's one element to what he's writing about. And also and may I say, I find the way he's writing Mr. Miracle and Barda to be along the lines of what I'm talking about, where the marriage is complicated and messy and a shitload of fun. And at the end of the day, you're loving every second you just spent with this person. So a lot of people are brave enough to share their truth, to, I think also because we get such instant feedback when we're truthful, that you go, oh, okay, I'm just going to be truthful then, because that feedback is valid, right? And so I just see a lot of people aiming for their truth, and if everyone's doing that, there's no way comics can't kick ass. It's impossible. And I just seen a summer of it every week. Somebody really kicked ass, at least one person, and that's an amazing thing for an industry. Like you think back, like on the summers where there were like 20 amazing albums or every fucking movie was amazing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like we had a summer like that this summer, and it was staggering. I hope people who write about this kind of stuff are paying attention.
You know? Well, I agree. And I'm glad that it sounds like the majority of you are getting to do that. I do think there are some writers that, for whatever reason, and I think, they had gatekeepers that are keeping them from doing it.
But no, I know.
They're the exceptions, unfortunately.
You're right about that, and sometimes I do sound a little privileged in my bullshit. But and that was part of what I talked about at the class. Actually, was some people see some stuff that I do as they let you do that, and they let me do it when I walked in the door. I just said, this is how I do it. I don't know how else to, and this is how I get to my these comics that you liked of mine. So I would say, don't raise your hand and say, I think I have a way to do this. They're very happy to let you.
Was there a time at Marvel, because you came in with 20 years of doing successful stories in Marvel?
No, well, 9 years, but fuck you. And
excuse me. What do you mean 9 years?
I started in 91 was my first published book.
No. But my point is, what I'm saying is you came into DC.
Oh, DC.
With your 20. No. With your 20.
Right.
Yeah, because you're 75 now. Yeah. And I've loved you since the 50s. But
no, I will.
But you know
say,
what I mean? No, was there a time when they at Marvel were like, yes, sorry, no, because we say so?
See, that's what happened when I was at Marvel. I was coming right off of the Todd McFarlane books, and Todd let us do whatever we wanted.
Right.
So when I got to Marvel Knights, Joe was kind of running it the way he wanted to, not the way they ran Marvel.
Yes.
So it was kind of a DIY, do-it-yourself kind of thing in a corporate structure already, So
yes.
So I was eased in, and also I was eased in with my best friend David Mack. So I was buffered pretty hard. So by the time we were making our comics, they would let it do it the way we do it, because that's how we do it, and it was working.
Well, and also, go on. No, please.
And when I got to DC, it was just a matter of they do things very differently. We talked about this a few months ago, but the craft and communication lines are different. So managing that was unique, but was also then managing when I hand in script. Like they used to have everyone hand in stuff on Fridays, but I'm used to handing it on Mondays. Just like I like the weekend. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So just things like that was literally our biggest switch around. Was it's okay if I hand this in on Monday? I'm like, okay. So
well, that's good. Well, but also I think Marvel, big Marvel, because like you said, you came through Marvel Knights and everything too. Yeah. Big Marvel were having their problems, so maybe they needed to start doing things differently with Joe and with Bill and everything.
Yeah, my point was, I know that certain creators have walked in, and I have too, may I say very clearly, where I've walked in and go, this editor does not have my best interest or this book's best interest at heart, right?
Right.
And so I know that feeling, and we've all had to either manage the job because we need the gig, or really want the gig anyhow. You can still make something beautiful out of a stressful situation, or you go, oh, I got to walk away. This is toxic. So I've been in all those situations as well, and I don't want to sugarcoat that, but more times than not, I have found everyone's in a creative environment. They're looking for creative solutions and exciting creative solutions. And so when I had, even as a younger creator, raised my hand and said, hey, why don't we try it like this? I never did it like, you're always doing it in we're trying to make the best thing. So no one ever spat my hand. So I was trying to relate to the younger creators. If you think you have a better way to do it, don't be shy about it.
Sure.
One great thing about comics, there isn't a way. There's ways to get it done, but there isn't a way to do it. So.
No, I understand. And the only macro point I was going to make, comparing where Marvel was just as you guys were entering and stuff, and it was at certainly a creative low point.
Oh yeah, they were bankrupt. They were literally in bankruptcy.
Right. And that's why. And DC wasn't in financial bankruptcy, but the failures of the New 52 really had to make Jeff Johns stand up with Rebirth and go, okay, this is what we need to get back to. This is the direction we're going. And truly, I think since the beginning of Rebirth, and that was, 2 years or 3 years before you jumped on, I guess my point is, maybe these companies need that kind of creative slump to suddenly stand up and go, all right, wait a minute, we've been breathing our own air in the same room for far too long. Let's open a window and get some fresh air in here, because we're running in circles.
I got to tell you, I mean, people have put a lot of this thoughts on me and because of the move and everything lately, and people who really dig into the Superman thing will say, "Oh, you're revitalized, right?" And I'm like, which is a very nice thing to say, but I was really working hard on Defenders.
Of course you were. I sure you were.
It's hard to describe. There hasn't been something I felt like malaise about while I was working on it.
I understand. I didn't mean you. You do realize I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about.
No. I was describing from my own personal.
Go on.
experience.
Yeah. No. Go on.
And I've learned that you can't even imagine. If something didn't work for you, it still could have been made with all the best intentions behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
Of course.
You can't speak, but I can speak to the fact that I definitely feel very lucky that I've come to DC at just the right time for me to come to DC. Like Dan, I've heard I'm meeting him just at the right time. We're really getting along and everybody's at a really good headspace. And I definitely, this move was creatively the right choice for me at this exact moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I do.
Now, because by the way, we're about, what day is it today? It's almost 1 year to the day that I agreed behind the scenes to the move.
Wow. Crazy.
So I've been at DC in my head for a year.
Well, and knowing you the way I do, that's Newsarama. Vanita is like, what do you think? And I literally said the same thing. This is the perfect time. And it wasn't that you were.
But you don't know it at the time. You kind of hope it. You look around and go, it feels like it, and then you step out and sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And this is a huge one. So I was like, oh, I hope it is. But I was, now that it's been a year and I'm still dizzy from my Frank Miller dinner, that I can tell you it was the right move creatively. By the way, when I speak of this, I'm speaking that more than anything.
I understand.
I'm thrilled. All the Jinx World books are selling. I can't even. May I say, if I could take a moment, that is the biggest relief. I have no control over what sells, what doesn't sell.
Of course.
So I just want to say thank you to everybody for landing these Jinx World books. It was such a relief. Because not like my friends kind of came over with me, and kind of everyone was holding their breath and hoping for the best. So it would have been embarrassing and bummer if it didn't work out, but it did. So I'm so grateful.
Absolutely, and I want to talk about cover and truly, yes, you'll inform me about what I'm missing so far in Pearl. And shame on me because I do love.
Oh no, it's okay. Cover is a better comic to talk about on this podcast anyhow, because. People who listen to this podcast, I think, would really dig that book. So
I agree with you.
Or be completely annoyed by it, one way or the other.
But I'm not done with Superman. I just want to say that.
Either of my there's something in 1004 I want to talk about. There's a scene. Superman actually comes to the Daily Planet and stops something bad happening to a reporter.
Yep.
And I wrote it about 8 months ago. And I wrote it before quite a few big things have happened. And it's gentle and the bad guy loses and the good guy wins. But it was so frustrating every time the PDF showed up. I would cringe because of something else. Like something else in the real world would make me cringe because of that scene. I didn't take the scene away. I left it. But I just wanted people to know I have mixed feelings about it.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay. But I go. That's how I feel. So I'm not changing it. But just so you know, it weighed heavy.
Well, I loved the and I know it was in an earlier issue when whatever drops the guy out of the sky and Robinson's like, yeah, that was Superman, and it's like, yeah, well, really. How do you know? No, it was definitely Superman, and it was great. And Perry kind of cutting her down.
Yeah,
be like, well, I got film of Superman, in this town while that was happening. So where's your pictures?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of friends that are reporters like you, and you're hearing a lot of stories lately. A lot of very interesting compromises are being made or not being made, and we may be dying a death of 1,000 little cuts, or we're winning a battle with 1,000 little cuts. It's hard to tell. So again, that's part of the cheating of writing Action Comics, is that the influence is so it's so obvious in our daily lives.
Absolutely. But
also, by the way, take away all that stuff, because I don't think any of it's political. It's all sociological to me. I do. Who doesn't like just hanging out with people who are really good at their jobs? Everyone at the Daily Planet is really good at their job. And another writer said to me recently, who has worked at both Spider-Man and Superman, and just said, wow, are they different places? Isn't that interesting? I go, I know, they're totally different places.
The Bugle and the Planet.
Oh, my God. Yeah,
yes, they are.
It's like writing the Washington Post and the New York Post. It's completely different.
Yes.
And it's so charming.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Like someone said, it was a friend of mine who I actually don't think you've ever spoken to, and they said they wrote Perry for the first time and was shocked how not Jonah Perry is. So,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I know, but you think, they're both gruff and they both, but
sure.
No, completely different.
No question. No, so, and that's the thing. It's great to that, and truly, I mean that. You're right. The Daily Planet is, you get it. You get that culture. You get these individuals, and it comes through absolutely. And also, again, Adam Strange's moments, the Guardians' moments, the League's moments. It's Batman.
Thank you. I was really proud with. May I say, I have something coming up with Adam Strange. If I allow myself a moment of hubris here, that joke where Adam Strange is just like can't find the Earth. It started as like just a one-liner joke, and then it revealed a scene that's coming up in the next issue of Superman that I've never seen ever before. And that's so hard to find something you go, I've never seen that before in a superhero comic. And so I'm excited to when you see it, you'll laugh because it's ridiculous, but it's original.
That's awesome. Well, that's great because
and it's Adam Strange. Something about Adam Strange. I can't.
I love Adam Strange. Always have, man.
Yeah. Even Ginny Hex's trunk. The first thing she pulls out of it is Adam Strange ray gun.
Oh, that's yeah. I'm excited about Ginny Hex. That's a great idea.
Oh yeah, people get to meet her like next week. Like she's in the new Batman Walmart thing.
Oh, that's great. Dude, I don't live close enough to a Walmart. It's been driving me nuts. The first time I went to look.
I can send you these PDFs. You'll like them.
That'd be great. Thank you.
You'll love Nick's work. It's got the same kind of energy as Art and Franco in the best way.
That's great. Oh no, I'd love to. Thank you, because truly, I'm missing
fun in the good way.
I'm missing. Yeah, I'm missing Tom's Superman story with Adam as well, and it's just
so good. And what I love about it, this is where Dan DiDio is really good at his job. He knew inherently something interesting would happen from us switching characters at this moment, and he kind of knew we would inherently do something completely different than the other person's doing right now.
Sure.
Without even trying, without even making it like, well, I didn't say, well, I'm going to do the opposite of Tom. I said, I have to find my Batman. And when I did, it wasn't anything like what's going on in Batman right now. So, that's what, and his Superman, his Lois, it's just really great, right? And not what we're doing. It's fantastic. So you got people who want it. And that always felt good about that when like me and Dan Slott were on Spider-Man, like you want like different, really strong, different flavors.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. And man, I'll tell you, Tom's been teasing us with Adam art on his Twitter feed. And obviously Superman's back to alien boxing, which you had me at hello.
I was so happy he did that because it scratches my itch to do the alien boxing. So
No, dude, and truly, when I missed your Wonder Comics announcement and we got together, you're like a Dial H for Hero. I'm like, oh, is Robbie Reed?
I have to tell you, and I know we talked about it a little bit earlier. Boy, oh boy! Thanks to everyone for the reaction to Wonder Comics. As exciting as Superman and Jinx World is, and it really, like, if that was all I had, that would be amazing. The trifecta, the Wonder Comics was like the next piece of this partnership, and the thing that made me want to leave Marvel to do this, right? Like I would go, they put a bunch of things in front of me, and then an imprint and was one of them, and I'm like, ooh, what would that be? And it's as close to what I envisioned as anything I've ever thought of in comics. And like, I'm not the author of it all, and it's still coming together exactly how I imagined it. It's kind of amazing. So it's such a beautiful experience. I really going to have to get out there and stump for people to really pre-order these books, because the retailers don't know how to order Wonder Twins by Mark Russell. They don't. So we're going to have to get out there and really show them how special these books are, which I'm really excited to do.
So yeah, one down again.
Sure.
So Wonder Twins is Mark Russell.
So the anchor book, the lead book of the line is Young Justice, and that's by myself and Pat Gleason. And the idea why we're off of Action Comics so quickly, as I talked about on the panel, and it's a little weird. So people read those first 2 issues of Action Comics, and immediately you can see me and Pat Gleason are like a match made in heaven. Oh my God!
Yes, you guys are clicking really well. Absolutely,
just
absolutely.
Awesome. But as we were getting into it, I got more and more of a sense of how deep the collaboration between Peter and Pat on Superman was. Now, other people have had long runs on the book together, but not a deep collaboration. They had Pete and Pat had a very, as deep as me and Alex had on Daredevil, or me and Mike on Powers. That was how intertwined and personal their collaboration was on Superman. And so once you're in the middle of it, you kind of feel like, ooh, I'm in someone's very personal business. Like this is their thing, right? So, but at the same time, I was really enjoying my Pat time. So I came up with the idea of saying, hey, why don't we start our own thing that isn't Superman, that we can enjoy each other, you know what I mean? And I always feels like, I know I've made jokes about being like ex-girlfriends and other, like your collaborators feel like romantic partners, but I felt like I was like making out with Pete's girlfriend or something. It was felt weird. So, and I don't even know them that well, either of them. So I didn't want to project all of it onto them, but I said to Pat, I go, listen, I have this book, and it features a lot of characters you're amazing at. Robin, Superboy, like things that you have landed perfectly. And then he told me, actually, I have been trying to find a way to get a Young Justice book going for a while. I really want to do Young Justice deeply. So we combined our pitches together, and literally it's like the best of both to make this thing that we feel deeply connected to. Now, the other thing that's interesting about me and Pat is Pat also has a lot of children. He has 5 children.
Oh, wow.
And I know who has more children than me. And so we're deeply coming at this as fathers looking to put something hopeful and beautiful and as honest as the Ultimate line was out there. So Wonder Comics just gives us this anchor in which we can build a team of all the young heroes in the DC universe and have them interact with each other and with the DC universe in continuity in a completely unique way. It lets me continue the thematic work I was doing in Miles Morales and Riri Williams, but with completely different characters and a completely different quest. But it was thematically, it lets me like keep scratching that itch. So from Young Justice, I threw out the other books that I wanted to do, and literally it's a line of books that I would like to buy, right? And if this is so douchey to say out loud, but if I was a fan of mine, I'm not, but if I was, what would that line look like that would delight the shit out of me? Right? And like I think about like there's a few people online who I thought of, this would really, as a fan, make them just delighted, and they were, you know what I mean? So it was kind of built for that a little bit, you know? And
okay.
And so I love the Wonder Twins, and
sure.
I think they're special and unique, and I think there's a reason that they have survived all the cheeky cliche-ness and all that. And I think I told you, like, I was once opening the Funko Pop of the Wonder Twins with my daughter Tabitha, who's 7, and she loves all female heroes and any monkeys, or, you know, she's going to definitely be a veterinarian. So we're opening, it's twins, and they have a pet alien monkey. She's like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Gleek, right?
Wasn't it Gleek? This is cool. And I'm like, yeah. So we have to make a book that says to this girl, this is cool. I also thought, because I can't remember if I told you this before, but while we were doing all the negotiation and deciding what to do, the one thing Dan said yes to, but I could tell was reluctant, was Wonder Twins.
Was it from, you know, I wondered if one of the reasons why we hadn't gotten a book since the Hanna-Barbera tie-in, was it a legality thing or anything?
Not a legality thing. It was just, you know, sometimes you got to hear that take. You got to hear the right take.
Well, that's true. Because, again, this is 30 years ago.
Yeah. Every editor and editor-in-chief, every boss I've ever had has had a character that they're obsessively in love with and can never find the right take for, or a character they don't like but everyone else loves. So,
sure.
But they don't take the character away. They say, all right, I'm the hardest audience for this character. Sell it to me.
Sure.
Make me want to publish it, right? So I always look at that as a good thing. When so I was like, what writer would make anybody who loves comics buy this book? And it was Mark Russell. Like,
yeah.
when after Flintstones, you go, I will buy anything this guy does. And the weirder, the more I'll buy it.
Agreed.
Oh, he's doing Wonder Twins? I'm in, totally. I would totally buy that book, right? So that was that, and I feel very good about it. It's one of the best castings I've ever been part of. I was so glad he said yes. There was one editor at DC who said we're never going to find anybody to be on Wonder Twins, and literally with a line of people. It was so funny.
That's awesome.
And
well, I know when they've made those mock movie poster for the Wonder Twins movie and stuff. How many?
My screensaver. The Alex Ross Wonder Twins is my screensaver from my laptop.
Well, and I just remember on Twitter how many creators like, that's awesome.
yeah, and remind me, I want to talk about that in a second too, about
sure.
the creators' reaction to Wonder Comics, if I forget to get to it. So, and then Dialect for Hero, I had offered it to Sam before I had an offer from DC Comics. I had it in my head that we were going to make Dialect for Hero, and that Sam was going to write it because I wanted to read Sam Humphries' Dialect for Hero.
Yeah, it's good casting.
And and Joe Quinones was our first choice, our only choice, and literally waited 2 months for him to figure out it was his destiny. And I've worked with Joe. I believe having dove as deep into the script with Sam that this is the best script Joe has ever been given for Joe's talent.
That's awesome.
Joe is going to kill this.
Loved him and Chip with Howard the Duck, of course.
No, and Joe has done amazing work with amazing people. I'm just saying this is up there.
Okay.
And then the fourth book is Naomi, and that's myself and David Walker and Jamal Campbell, and it's a brand new book. It's like Jessica Jones and Miles Morales. We're adding a character to the DC universe, and with her, different than those other characters, she's bringing a whole additive element to DC that wasn't there before.
She's the point of view, and forgive me if I'm spoiling, but you told me about this when we were hanging out and everything. She's the one that witnesses an incident.
Yeah, in the first issue of her book, Superman. She lives in a smaller town in the Pacific Northwest of the DC universe, so we get to name a new city in DC. That's always fun.
Lovely.
And she is a brown-skinned girl in a predominantly white town. and she's adopted. And when Superman and Mongul literally in a fight just bounce in the middle of the city and bounce out, like literally just one of those moments that rattles the small town, but it was only a second of Superman's life. It opens up a door to her to discovering things about her adoption that she didn't know about. And that's going to open a door in the DC universe that no one knew anything about.
Cool.
And it's by myself and David Walker, who I love dearly. It is us, I think, finally rolling up our sleeves and doing a book worthy of our very long, deep friendship. But what has happened in the interim, and this is one of those things I always feel stupid saying on your show, but people are going to see that I'm telling the truth very soon. And I apologize to Jamal for saying this out loud, but it has happened. This book was a book that me and David created and invited Jamal to join us. He's a co-creator of the book. And then very quickly it became a Jamal Campbell moment that we're just a part of.
Awesome.
Jamal has authored this book with such expertise. It's such a beautiful book that I've showed it to many other creators to get their take. And they go, this rattled me. Why is this rattling me? And I go, it feels to me much like Mitch on Mr. Miracle when someone just puts something down and says, no, this is how it's going to be from now on. And that's what's happened on Naomi. It's an absolutely beautiful, gorgeous book. I think it also benefits from Jamal. There was at one point where Jamal was up for being on Miles Morales. Like we were considering him. And there was a version where if I stayed at Marvel, that we would be doing that together. But instead, here I am, and Jamal, who had many choices in front of him, very smartly chose to build something brand new with us. I'm, it's hard to describe. I've had it a few times, but I was sitting next to Jamal at dinner after he was just taking in the fact that the entire world saw his Young Justice art. That piece of artwork that everyone saw, that Young Justice flying through the air piece, that's Jamal. And that's an artist who never had that big of a spotlight before and had now the biggest spotlight he ever had. And watching that happen is quite magical. I watched it happen with Sarah. I watched it happen with David. And so it's quite beautiful to be part of. And he's such a sweetheart and deserves every second of it. So I just wanted to share that with people. He's such an amazing creator, and he's worked his ass off. And to watch someone work their ass off and just genuinely own a moment is just something special.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, hey man, great books. They sound great, and
so people understand how it's working. Wonder Comics is being published by Elisa as well, with me through DC Comics. So Elisa is publishing both Jinx World and Wonder Comics, being edited out of the Superman office. So we're going to have some connective tissue there as well, also helping us keep all the books in continuity in the DC. Because sometimes with imprints, people get scared, particularly with so many characters who've been out of the loop for a while, they think that it might not count, but it absolutely does.
That's cool. And yes, I've even heard after the announcement was made that, yes, it's in continuity. I was hearing, I think it was Publishers Weekly's podcast, and they're like, is this because of the comparison to the Ultimates? And they're like, is it DC Universe? No, it's separate. No, I don't know. And it's like, no, man, it's in DC continuity. It's totally in the DC
continuity. And there's no reason it shouldn't be. All of these characters have a very unique path that isn't like anything else. The Ultimate Universe was a separate place because there was a separate Spider-Man doing a parallel journey, right? So it needed its own universe. These characters are not having a parallel journey to anyone, right? Even Robin and Superboy have a very unique story to tell, different from anyone else's. So there's no need at all for anyone.
I understand. And back to Connor for a second. Ever since you announced Young Justice, it's like I'm a Connor fan as well, and I look forward to the day that Connor and John Kent sit down and have a couple conversations. That's going to be pretty interesting.
There's so many, and just so people know a couple things about Wonder that hasn't been very clear. This isn't the entire roster of Young Justice. We haven't revealed everybody. We revealed enough to get everybody excited, but we want to genuinely have excitement in the book as well. So we're going to have some surprises there as well. And these aren't all the books. We already have a couple of, I guess will be considered second wave, but we're just going to put them out when they're ready, of some magnificent creators putting together some new material for us as well. So this isn't creators, and this isn't all the projects.
Is there a release date for these first wave of books yet or not?
Yeah, Young Justice and Naomi are both debuting in January.
Oh, great.
Cool. Wonder Comics is the new cover of previews, which,
fantastic.
Which I was delighted by, was not expecting, and does speak. One of the great joys I had at Marvel was that Joe and I were very much on the same page, just organically. You can't force it. You're just like, we're making the kind of comics we both think we need to be making at the moment. And right now at DC, when people say I was meeting Dan at just the right time, it's happened again where Dan and Jim and Mike and Brian, everyone I'm working with at DC, we're making the same kind of, we see that the same kind of comics are needed at the moment. Right, the joy and hope of Superman and Wonder Comics is, we all agree, this is where we should be putting our energy. So I'm just really excited about it. Sorry.
All good, man. Yeah. No, what are you talking about? People want to hear this stuff. Man. Yeah, that's good. Man.
It was such a, even the idea of it, like Dan in our first meeting, he goes, we had a lot of luck with Young Animal and these signature imprints. What would yours be? What would you do? Right. And I thought, my original thought was, like a line of crime comics, right?
Sure.
Like Plastic Man and the Question. And then I went, oh no, like Jinx World is a line of crime comics already. It really is. Like,
of course it is. Yeah.
Being itched. And then as I hadn't written my last Miles Morales comic yet, or my last Riri Williams. Like, I hadn't even missed my who I was going to miss at Marvel, right? So as I was writing those last issues, and I realized, I'm going to miss this energy, this that great moment of when you realize the world sucks and first love and all that. I'm going to miss it, and then realize, that's your imprint, stupid. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, of course. Do you see yourself eventually getting to some of these street level DC characters?
Well, yes, because I'm getting to them in Action Comics, and I'm getting in other projects that I'm doing at the company. And for people who don't know, like in Action Comics 1005, like the page after you've read is the Question.
Yep.
Beating someone up over a dial H dial. So,
oh my!
Yeah,
oh my!
Yeah, so I'm getting like slowly but surely I'm getting to everything, and I think people already know that Alex Maleev and I, after we're done with this run of Scarlet, have a big DC project on the books already approved. I don't think it's hard to imagine that we'll be diving into some of the shadows of the DC universe under Alex Maleev's pen.
That's excellent. Well, and I'm hoping that there's more to come with Guardian and the Question. And
that's a massive storyline that's going on. And some people have already seen in the previews a little hint of something going on with something about Leviathan. So
yes, indeed, and also on one of the desks. And the Post-its had a bunch of Leviathan stuff. And, in fact, looked like it had a Brian Bendis Leviathan pitch.
I mean, it just seemed that if Perry White had my pitch document on his desk and we released it to the public a year before the event actually happened, that's got to be a first. I'm not saying that's what happened. That sounds ridiculous. Why would you do such a thing? Other than just to be crazy and to see if you can get away with it.
Some strategic whiteout in certain places.
It was very, very funny. It was gone over like the Zuperta film. It was very, very funny.
There's no question. I'm sure everyone's doing that. Hey, man, I'm reading this stuff on my tablet, and I'm zooming in and looking at every Post-it and everything. Absolutely.
That's a fun thing to do on a tablet.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Also, so what people are getting with we're like the fourth issue of Superman and Action Comics, now it's really where you get to see, we're building and building and building towards something. Like,
of course.
The pieces are just starting to pile up.
Yep. Absolutely.
So one's piling up in a very cosmic way, and one's piling up in a very gritty way.
A grounded way, yes, indeed.
Yeah, so
no, good stuff, Maynard. Absolutely. You said you wanted to go back to, I believe, creators' reaction.
Oh,
to Wonder Comics?
One of the two things happened after Wonder Comics was announced. For the first time ever, I always hear from the creators, looking for gigs or want to know, if there's time or inclination. Always, even when I was an indie creator, you hear from people. I heard from an inordinate amount of creators, and an inordinate amount of creators I admire personally, who were either interested in Wonder Comics or very grateful that that's what I chose to do with my energy. And I was very happy about that. And then I thought about it for a while, and someone said something about like, oh, you have a privilege and you used it for a good thing, right? And then I thought for a while, and I wondered if it was a privilege, like I know not everyone can procure an imprint, but there's a lot of creators who seem to think they didn't have control over the energy they were putting out in their work. Like you can put out a creator-owned book or a Tumblr or something with this energy that you want in your comics that you're not seeing. It was basically people saying they weren't seeing the energy in the comics that they wanted, but they were seeing it out of like Jamal's work, right? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, that's too and then I'm like, well, but we're the people that make the comics. We're the ones that should, and I felt bad there's certain creators that felt that they weren't in control of the energy they could put out there. And I know that everyone's looking for a gig and you got to get the gig you get, but you can also make your own gig too. And I just wanted to kind of put it out there that to the indie creators, to the established creators, that we're not beholden to any corporation to allow us to do something. We all have the ability, and I tell this to all my students, that you don't have to wait for Marvel and DC to let you do something. You can just go do it. Yeah, you have to let you write Batman, but if you want to write a revenge story about the Dark Knight, you don't need Batman or DC to do it, right? And if you want to write a hopeful story about that moment where youth becomes adult, you don't need Marvel or DC to do it. And sometimes that the machinery overwhelms the creators, and I want to remind them that you do not have to let that happen. That the machinery is there, but it only overwhelms you if you let it. That it's very easy to step away from it and make your own thing. That's why when I see Greg Pak having such luck with his not luck, but having such success with his Kickstarter for his Princess book, that I want to like hyperly focus other creators' attention on it, because look how much Greg's value is. Like his value is very high in this industry because of that. And I think there's a lot more creators in this industry who have that ability, who have that value, and they don't test it. And I know it's very scary to test it. I just tested myself, and it's terrifying. It's terrifying, but it's truthful, and you put yourself out there, and so I just, when I saw so many creators being very nice to me about it, it also made me go, but you can do it too. You really can. So I just wanted to put it out there. Do it.
Agreed.
Make the comic you want someone to be making for you.
This is why I created Word Balloon. For that exact reason.
It absolutely is. You wanted this show. That is 100% true.
Yep.
And where can I get a Jew in Portland to talk endlessly about himself?
It's true.
And I just sit back and watch the clicks.
It's very true, man. And then exactly. And now I'm trying to do it with boxing as much as I am with comics. I got back to boxing.
I want you to know I love you so much that I try to hang in there with that boxing. And
did you listen?
I don't understand any of it.
That's okay. It's an. I mean, dude,
I'm not saying that because you won't read Pearl. I'm saying it because I'm joking. I just want you to know I love you as a broadcaster, and sometimes that's all I need.
It's inside baseball. I get it, buddy.
Someone
to
like something, So
no, I get it, and truly, I've got my non-comic reading fans who, when they listen to Word Balloon, I'm always like, oh, that's so nice. I'm like, God, that must be a foreign language to you. I mean, because we're doing the shorthand of talking about these characters because we know them so well, and the audience knows the core audience knows them so well. Sometimes I worry that I don't explain.
People who have just found us on iTunes.
This is true,
and just started listening and don't buy comics. So hello to those people. It makes me happy that they just kind of enjoy the sound of our music. You know,
amen.
That's very sweet. I have many shows like that in my life, so I'm happy to be that for people.
I told you I spoke to a reporter recently, and they asked me about like when we first got together and everything, and I'm like, yeah, man, luckily we clicked and laughed and had a couple really good Skull sessions. It's like we should do this more often, and it's like, yeah.
I forget. I think I was talking to Matt about it, and I said it. When you look back on it, you go, "Oh, me and John came together exactly the way you'd hoped me and John would come together."
Aww.
Right? It wasn't nothing forced, nothing. We just kind of fell into a podcast.
That and truly. I think the New York show in 2006 when they shut down the room.
Yeah.
And
reminding me, I meant to bring that up earlier because we were at that. That was kind of a historic show too.
The first New York show back.
It was just fucking bedlam, right?
Yeah. The fire marshal shut down the room.
Yeah. So it was the first time I was carried to a panel. And so to have experienced that crazy show and then having such an amazing one years later at the same place was really special to me. Yeah, that was when I told the story many times on the show, but that was the show where it was such a mob scene. It was so like they weren't ready for the crowds that no one could get to their panels. Like you couldn't get through the crowd to get to the panels. So at one point I was lifted up over the security booth. I crowd surfed over. And at the time, not a young man then either. I think age 40 is when you really don't want to be lifted off your feet for any reason whatsoever. And yes, to the cosplayers, just as Superman, who constantly lift me, ask first. Anyway, yes, I have consent issues as well. And I'm not joking. I get lifted off my feet without anyone asking, and they take pictures, and it's always weird.
Well, now there's less of you to lift, so it's even easier.
I think that's part of it. It's a compliment, but anyway, I was being lifted over my head. I was being lifted over a crowd. I was being lifted over a crowd, and I heard a man in a suit yell at a security guard, "You have to let me in. I'm the president of Archie Comics." And I love a sentence. I love a sentence you can only hear once and in that place.
Victor Gorlich, ladies and gentlemen.
And that is absolutely what I heard. And I don't know if it was him. I just heard someone yell that out.
I'm assuming it was Victor, but yeah.
Again, it could have been someone just wanting to get in, and they're going to try that.
Sure. Oh, that's possible. You're right. But I remember seeing Dan in line to get back in when I was leaving for a second, and I'm shrugging and going, "What am I supposed to do? It's all right, I'm no better than anybody else in this line. I get it."
No, and again, I don't think waiting in line is. I'm just saying, it's very funny when I've never seen a show where you couldn't get to where you were supposed to go.
Yeah,
and that was the one.
Insane.
Todd would step out into Artist Alley, and then create like a sea of people.
Sure.
Like he would create like this billiard ball effect. It was crazy. Anyway,
and I remember it was me and Saul Colt walking around.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that's why you took pity. You David and Mike are like, "Hey man, you can sit with us for a while."
Yeah, every once in a while, and we always freak out fans who do, but like every once in a while, like someone comes up to you and they just look like they need to sit the fuck down, right? And they're not in a bad way, not like they're going to pass out. Just you know what? 2 minutes in this chair wouldn't be the worst thing ever happened. You want to sit down, and it always. It's not a failure. Like I always causes more trouble than you mean to, but trying to enjoy the time together.
It was very fun. No, dude, you did. You know, it's seriously, my calves gave out on me when we were walking on Thursday, but it was fine. It was, and truly, that's why I'm like, no, dude, I walk this much usually and everything. I think it was just, my legs had reached their daily limit at that moment.
Also, we're also getting there. It's a marathon of physical activity. Like there was, I think it was like Friday night where it's David Mack, and David Mack was exhausted. Right, I've never seen David Mack exhausted.
Peak physical condition, David Mack. Exactly.
David Mack is I don't think I can make it to dinner. I'm like, oh my God, is it the years of the miles? And he goes, it's the miles.
Well, that's a good transition to cover.
Oh, how about that? Look at me.
Yeah, nice going. I truly have loved the first two issues. You guys were very kind to give me the Word Balloon shout out.
Oh no, it was a way for us to let people know what world we're in.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, thank you.
It's this world.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I thought, he's a guest on Word Balloon to kind of let you know what level of creator. You know what I mean? Like John's had him on. You know. So it was a good story beat as well. So it was a good shout out and story beat. But this book, I am deeply grateful. Also, you're hitting us. Issue 2 came out this week.
Yes.
So this weekend we had an inordinate amount of activity about the book online, on Twitter particularly. People found it, and because it was the second issue, and because I'm happy to announce it proves issue 1 wasn't a fluke on David's part, and it's just this beautiful book that it's going to continue to be that beautiful. People were very delighted with what David had done, so we got a lot of emotional response this weekend. So thank you to everyone. It is a very personal book, obviously. Even the jokes are deeply personal, almost embarrassing, and things that you wouldn't even know are embarrassing. You know, it's that kind of embarrassing, and the good kind. And so this book is very special to us. It is, and it is something crazy happened behind the scenes for issue 3 that I wanted to share a little bit. So David is very good friends with Bill Sienkiewicz. I've worked with Bill and love him dearly, but David and Bill are very close. And David has been sharing with Bill what we've been doing. And so for those who read issue 2, you meet this character Issad. And in issue 3, you get to see some of Issad's work as a comic book creator. And I say in the script, this is what Issad's work looks like. And it's big and it's crazy. And I said, and maybe we'll get someone else to draw it, or maybe David you'll do a different style altogether. Like we have many ways we can accomplish this. You know what I mean? So he showed it to Bill, and then Bill just drew 4 pages of our book without asking. He said, I'll be the voice of Issad, and drew 4 amazing pages. So for people who are buying cover next issue, for some reason, Bill Sienkiewicz drew a bunch of.
That's great. That's fantastic.
I have been in comics a very long time, and very magical things have happened with creators I've never seen another creator just go, I'll draw some of it for you. It was beautiful, and there are gorgeous pages. And I was walking around New York Comic, and there was another thing where I'd walk around New York Comic Con and go, look what Bill Sienkiewicz did for us. And people go, these are really amazing pages. I'm like, yeah. So the book is meta on top of meta on top of meta, and I couldn't even imagine it.
Well, I look forward to talking to David about this too, because clearly both of your experiences in the intelligence world are coming to light.
Yeah, and happy to announce when we started this project, we were hoping we wouldn't be closing the door on those experiences. But I'm going back to Langley in about 4 weeks.
Oh wow!
And I was so thrilled to get the call. And I did write. Are you guys aware of this book I'm doing? I didn't want to get there and you find out then. But right. So
what did they? Were they aware of it?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And David's been hearing from the State Department again to do more of that work, which he's amazing at, by the way.
I'm waiting to hear. I'm really waiting to hear like full details on I assume that he'll be making his Bing Crosby holiday special appearance.
Absolutely, because we're in our new house. We just moved. I'm in my new studio, which includes the David Mack part of the studio. Is all in.
Lovely.
I literally took a picture. Go look, your couch and table are here. So and I literally have boxes that say David Mack. There's David Mack's belongings moved with us. So I have a lot of his crap here, is what I'm saying. And I'm right now putting all my books. I'm doing what a lot of people get to do. I'm basically rebooting my man cave, and mine, of course, is very art book related. It's all about the art books in mine. So some people have tequila, some people have workout rooms. Mine is all art books. So I'm literally creating my new studio that is just so David Marquez can come over here and go, oh my God, at art books. That's what he does. So I'm doing that, and also it's fun because you get to revisit all these books that I love, putting them back on the shelf. You know what I mean? I love this book.
Oh yeah, 100%. No, I went through that when I moved to my bigger apartment and everything, and like you said, no, and I mean, God, all my walls have commission sketches that I've had done over the years and everything. I'm looking at my Chris Samnee right now and my Gabe Hardman.
Awesome.
My Alex Saviuk Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, looking great.
My
David Mack Daredevil.
Was your David Mack what?
David, I got a silkscreen Daredevil that he did back in, 04, 05, something like that.
My kids all have portraits by him.
Of course they do. That's beautiful.
No, he did for Christmas. Excellent. He's really their uncle.
Yeah, but that's awesome.
What was really loving is that when they moved into their new rooms, they all individually unpacked their David Mack painting and hung it up first. It's home when this is hung up. I haven't told David that. He's gonna. Even he might tear up a little when he sees this. It was quite something. Yeah,
that's
great.
It was lovely. Well, we only did it the one time that he was hanging out with you guys.
Let's just guarantee it gets done.
We got to do it. We really have to.
Yeah, he's already said he's coming up. I think he might be coming up for Thanksgiving too. So if that happens, we'll do it in Thanksgiving. If not, we'll definitely do Christmas. So,
okay, excellent.
Done.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. No, it's great. And truly, I love Cover. And like you said, it is the book that Word Balloon listeners would love. It's a great spy book.
I think, it's this, I get to write about David in a way that David won't write about himself or might not want to. and I get to mush our truths together in this unique way. And I am so my skin gets I can feel my skin when I'm writing it. It feels so personal. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Even though it's almost a comedy, right? You write issue 2.
Yeah.
It is a tip of the hat to the in-laws wholeheartedly, right? but at the same time, I am it is very unique feeling to feel this naked and to feel more so about Pearl. And I'm not making a joke, but it feels extremely personal.
Cool.
And in not even ways I'm totally connected to yet.
Well, again, your collaborations with Mike, both Mikes, Oeming and Gaydos, and with David, those were my really earliest, I think, exposures to your work. And knowing the closeness that you have with all three of these guys. Yeah, I mean, I and again, take nothing away with what's coming with Scarlett and Alex and everything. Has United States of Murder Incorporated started up again yet, or no?
Yeah, no, we got a couple issues out. It did great.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah,
all right.
I'll send you some books. It did great. Well, go look. I just posted some new pages by Taki and Mike. Taki has also hit some new level in her work. She's kind of exploded, broke apart and exploded. She's also been going through a lot of stuff. She's been very public with. She got diagnosed with MS last year, and since then, her work has hit a new level that it's hard to talk about, to be honest with you. It's so explosive to me. So go look.
That's great.
I posted on my Twitter. It's amazing.
That's fantastic. No, that's good to hear. And I've been circling Mike and everything, and Mike and I haven't talked since.
It's actually funny with the announcement of all the new Jinx World books, and I have new agents at William Morris that I had a lot of meetings about all the new books and stuff, and it looks like Murder Incorporated is landing somewhere very soon. So,
hey, awesome!
Yeah, so I was very happy about it because it's a world I completely adore. And as with the new stuff, you'll see we're just getting to the good stuff. There's so much to do here. And what's interesting about Murder Incorporated is that when it started, it was both it and Scarlet were created in the Obama era, but in this era, they mean something else.
Yep.
And what it means isn't as obvious as I thought it would be, and it's more interesting than I thought. And with Murder Incorporated, I'm literally writing a crime story about if the world was run by gangsters.
Yeah, boy, I wonder what kind of world that would be.
Yeah, right? And unbelievably, the gangsters I'm writing about have more morals than the ones that we're reading about. I'm shocked. I did not plan that, and it's fucking fascinating. And it's let us open the book up to in a way we never thought we were going to go. Our next volume is United States of Murder versus the Vatican. So it just really lets us go into places we would have never gone.
Outstanding. Yeah. That's excellent, man. And also, God, I hope it's true. Mike and I both have been getting word from the TV producers that we worked with. But we did that TV show, The Unexplained.
Yeah.
Jimmy Church.
Is that Aaron? What's the update on that?
I think finally the History Channel is going to put it on in November, as I understand it. And also it'll be on Hulu. And Mike did an episode about drones, and I did an episode about the Kennedy conspiracies.
Yeah, I really wanted to see both of those things. I was like...
Well, yeah, man, I can't wait to see Mike's episode. And, it's funny. It's aired in Canada, and it's aired in Germany. And I told Mike about it, too. And I'm like, I don't know if you've got any Canadian friends that can, tape something for you. This great guy, Blaine Dowler, who is a listener of both Word Balloon and also the podcast I do with Art and Franco, the podcast. He literally, set up his iPhone to record the TV screen for me and sent me the episode. And it was so great. And it is. It's literally just like an iPhone recording a TV screen, but it's fantastic.
That's hilarious.
And, yeah, and I mean, oh God, I look like hell, but that's okay.
No, I had a similar experience. Don't worry about that.
I'm not worried. No, I'm not worried.
2 years ago, a Nat Geo was doing the special about what the world's going to be like in 100 years from now or something, right?
Yes, I remember.
And we were going to have all these people, all these like futurists and scholars, mm-hmm. right? So they flew us down and really treated us great. And I met Sid Mead, it was like a really crazy, awesome day where they had us all talk about futurism. And then the thing aired at 2 a.m. once on the Nat Geo channel. And it was I was by far the least famous person on this thing, right? And they never aired it. It was weird.
Yeah, I guess, as I understand, and it makes sense, this year's the 55th anniversary of the Kennedy assassination, so maybe that's one of the reasons why they were holding it. But, I mean, we're no different than Ancient Aliens or any of the other crap.
I know.
History Channel shows now.
Ancient Aliens is an interesting show. It was interesting.
I love that show.
Why didn't they air it? It was interesting. I don't know. Anyway.
I understand. No, I totally understand. Joe Rogan just on his podcast had a guy on that has been on Ancient Aliens, and he's a legitimate truth sayer, and it's like, look, 90% of what they're talking about is such bullshit, but it's entertaining, and it opens the questions of, yes, aliens did not create the Incan pyramids, right. But what was behind the architecture of that time that they were able to make this stuff? That's a fascinating story.
Absolutely.
At least it opens the door to speculation of how that stuff could have happened. And again, I mean, Mike and I have talked about this before. I loved the Eric von Daniken books of the 70s, Chariots of the Gods, all that stuff. I loved the documentary that Serling narrated of Chariots of the Gods. I mean,
and
all that stuff.
I was a big Jim Marrs fan, huge Jim Marrs fan, and he did. His most famous one was Crossfire, the JFK book, but
yes,
he had a couple great books that had really propelled a lot of my fiction. Was Alien Agenda by him, and Ruled by Secrecy, which is about like secret organizations, and like the Illuminati definitely came from there.
Sure.
And but like all the all the imagery and visuals in Powers about aliens was from that Jim Marrs conspiracy stuff. It's all stuff that people who say they have seen aliens, it's what they say they saw. Like, like I use all of that as the basis for the Aliens and Powers, just to see if it could be done, like to see if there's a story that you can put together, that holds together. So,
no, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love that stuff. And the reason, as we were unpacking our books, I opened up the box of Jim Marrs books, and my teenage daughter was like, "Oh, what's this?" And I'm like, "It's a dark hole of which Mike Fleming has never come out of."
It's true.
And again, Mike has gone to Area 51. Mike has gone to the desert to UFO conventions.
I love that.
So you got to get him on.
Oh yeah, no, Mike's. And we've talked about it in the past and everything. No. Right. And yeah, no. Well, that's why I'm hoping that what they say is true and that it will air in November. And like I said, ultimately, it will also be on Hulu. So The Unexplained. Great. Jimmy Church, and yeah, you get to see Mike talk about drones, and you get me talking about the Chicago plot to kill Kennedy, which is a fascinating story.
I love that story.
Max Collins put it in one of his Nathan Heller books too.
Yep.
So yeah, no, good stuff and everything. Yeah, I was beyond thrilled to be a part of it. The producers are saying they might be doing something new and coming through town, and they're like, I'm going to try and get you in. I'm like, that'd be great.
Oh, that's awesome.
So please. Are you kidding me? Again,
it was funny because like Murder Incorporated, the book originally was all going to be using all of that stuff.
Sure.
As like, I get to tell all the murders in a new way, right? And really, I'm doing that stuff in Action Comics. Like I'm using all the true crime. Murder Incorporated stuff is actually being used more in Action Comics than it's being used in the crime comic.
Well, I kind of, you could kind of see that in the arsonist story and the Red Cloud.
Yeah, no, it's all like how they fucked with the FBI. It's how they're fucking with Superman.
That's cool. So will the 1,000, formerly the 100, will they be showing up if they haven't already?
Yes.
Okay, good deal.
There's a lot going on there. The Leviathan storyline. Is something that was proposed to me at DC. They came to me and said, "What do you think about like this?" So, and we'll talk about what that is when we talk in December.
Okay.
But a challenge was put forth to me, and so the Leviathan story will be hitting a lot of things in the DC universe about that.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
Vague and enthusiastic.
No, I like it. We can wrap up if you'd like.
You can. Yeah, I gotta get to work. I'm actually going to put an issue with Scarlet to bed tonight. I'm happy that we're on issue 5 of On Time Scarlets. So all of the Jinx World runs will be on time. Very happy to say. And for those who don't know, listen. We also announced at New York Comic Con that Pearl is going to series. We were originally just going to do a mini series because it was so much work. I wasn't even sure Mike would want to stay on it for more than 6, but he wants in and it's doing so well and we have a story to tell. So we're going to keep going. We're going to give it a year and see how we feel. And then,
that's great.
And then Cover, we're going to do another run of Cover. But we're going to give a few months in between for David to, shake it off and direct some videos and get back into it. But
sure,
the stories are writing themselves.
Excellent to hear. You got to help me get Gatos on.
I will, and I'll try it again. He truly doesn't like doing stuff like this. And
Gatos doesn't? Mike doesn't?
Yes. And
okay.
I have.
Well, if he doesn't.
There's been quite a few, like, may I say, there's times where I've been like that Time magazine piece that they did on me. Like that's a once in a lifetime.
Sure.
You don't say no.
Course.
Like
yes.
if you want that,
please. Of course it is.
They're not going to ask again. Right.
Right.
So there's been a couple of things like that where Mike has genuinely passed on them because he doesn't want it. And so I admire it because, ego can get in your way sometimes, but he really keeps it pure. And I admire that about him. But at the same time, as people who've seen the last couple of issues of Pearl, this is an artist of great talent who is in the middle of some sort of renaissance. He's in the middle of something very special. I would like for him to come on your air and talk about it because it's not every day. It's literally like when Bill Sienkiewicz blew up. Like he's a completely different artist now, and it's worth discussing.
Well, because I truly loved what he was doing with Jessica.
Oh yeah,
at the end as well.
And if that's all we ever got from him, beautiful.
Absolutely.
But what
Pearl's on another level.
What he took our challenge with Pearl very seriously in that we are known for something. Let's do something else. You know what I mean? Like anyone could do the thing we're known for over again. Let's try something else, but make it equally as truthful. And he's taken that to such a high level that I've had to rewrite every issue from the start when the artwork comes in. And it's such an amazing creative feeling that I would like to get on the air and discuss it with him. But
no, honestly, man, Jimmy Chung very politely declined.
Another one,
Alan Davis very politely declined. I saw him in Connecticut at that great Connecticut show where I got to talk to Roy Thomas and Jim Starlin and Denny O'Neil again, and
awesome.
So Mike Barr for the first time.
How was Mike Barr?
The first time.
How was that?
Mike Barr was great, and it was such a great.
I'll listen to that. Is that posted?
Yeah, it's a Robin panel, and it's Denny O'Neil, Mike Barr, Jim Starlin, Pete Tomasi, Tim Seeley.
Oh Jesus, that's a must listen for me.
Oh, thank you, and truly, I was really happy with the way the conversation turned out, and it starts with Denny saying, I never got Robin. Why would Batman have these, be lurking in the shadows and have a kid in a red vest, no pants, out there with criminals? It made no sense. And Mike's the first one to defend Robin, obviously. And then Jim, of course, is like, well, I killed him. I killed a Robin, so my feelings about Robin as a character. It was great. It was a lot of fun. And it was terrific. It was a nice panel. And I got Mike's information, and I'll get him back for a nice long conversation. He talked about Son of the Demon and the creation of Damien.
I read it recently.
It's another great graphic novel that it came of that time of Dark Knight, and everyone was just spitting out graphic novels. But that was a Black Label story before the current Black Label imprint. Really,
you are reminding me of something I wanted to say on this show. So,
please.
And I'm going to say it before I forget. David Marquez was over here a couple of days ago, and we were just looking at stuff, and we were flipping through a new issue of Superman, and there was the full page ad for Norm Brayfogle, and we both said, "Wow, I never met Norm Brayfogle, but I bet he would have been startled at how much people loved him." Like the genuine warmth that people had on his passing, and the days on. And by the way, it went on for days on my Twitter feed. People talking about, hey, he was a fucking important Batman creator.
Yes, he was.
Now, the reason what made me think is that I feel, and I think I might know, that there are quite a few creators of my peer group and of the generation before and behind me who are beloved as much as Norm is or was. And they may not know it just because they don't know it. But what happened with Norm was a creator that always stuck to his guns and did honest work and did so without stomping his feet and screaming with a bullhorn like guys like me and Mark Millar do, right? And did it with such class and coolness. And I just wanted to put out there that there's sometimes a lot of creators that sit there at that grindstone like Norm did and might not know how many people like love their work. And I just wanted to maybe take a minute for these creators that may not feel like they have that love, that maybe hop online and look like you do. And for people who follow us online, and I get hit with it all day. I get hit with people saying nice stuff almost every 10 minutes. Maybe go to those creators that don't always get the love and show them a little love. Because I'm telling you, they're hanging out at their drawing table, sometimes 12 hours a day, chained to that desk, and it can be a little thankless. And that little, hey, you know what? I love that thing you did last year. I love this thing you're doing now. I love the thing you did 20 years ago. Whatever it is, dropping the line like that to some of these creators that don't always get the love could really make their day. So I just want to put it out there, because the Norm thing made me think about like the creators that don't always know how much love they get. Again, I had to almost die to find out how much people had warmth to me, and it made me think about if I hadn't made it, maybe I wouldn't have found out. I got to find out, and wouldn't it be nice if some of these other creators get to? Okay, I'll shut up.
No, I hear what you're saying, and I think honestly, when Norm had the stroke, people responded and everything, and I was fortunate enough to meet Norm unfortunately a couple years before I started the podcast, and I got 2 great pieces from him. One that I asked him to do, because I'm like, I've never really seen you draw Superman before. Would you draw Superman reacting?
You have to post that. You got it still?
Oh, I have, and I'll send it to you. But yeah, I posted it when he passed, and actually I posted it when he had the stroke too. But yeah, and it's just, and he's like, well, what do you want me to have him doing? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm like, have him reacting to a piece of kryptonite. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of coils in fear toward, when he sees this thing. And it's great. It's a very youthful looking Superman. It's very interesting. And then the other piece I have is, and it's I don't have it on my walls right now, and I should, was a Batman that he accidentally dipped his thumb was wet. And so he smudged one of the bats. And he's like, oh, I was supposed to give this to someone. And, obviously I kind of wrecked it a little bit on the bottom. So if you want this as well, it's $50 more. I'm like, yeah, sold. Because it's amazing. And it's would have been a great Legends of the Dark Knight cover. Norm was amazing. And, God, his stuff he was doing for Archie. Mm-hmm. With Paul Kupperberg. He was working on that Life with Archie series where it was after the Michael Uslan miniseries, and it was half the book was him married to Betty, and half the book was him married to Veronica, and it was hilarious. And it was kind of DeCarlo-ish in its
a little bit
presentation, but it was still it was a different style. It was a simpler style, and it was a huge departure from what he was doing at DC. But yeah, it was great. No, it was fantastic, and I really was, as I think we all were, hoping that he'd have the same kind of recovery from a stroke that Frazetta had.
Yeah.
And that, Frazetta was able to come back and still draw and everything. So it was just heartbreaking to lose Norm.
Yeah. And I was just clumsily trying to say that, there's a lot of creators that do a lot of honest work. You know what I mean? Just good, honest work. And it doesn't always get the flashy headline or the, you know what I mean? Or the outrage of the week or whatever. And that sucks up a lot of the air. But what you do have is tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people just enjoying your work every month because it's honest and good. And I thought the Norm thing may give people a little insight into maybe your work is appreciated more than you think.
Sure.
And for those out there who love to share a little love, those creators that don't always get it certainly might appreciate it. Not all of them. Some of them don't want it at all. But I certainly think that I've seen it go a long way. And when I saw a lot, and me and David were talking about it, but I saw some other creators talking about it as well. It just shocked how much it took for us to realize how much Norm meant to Batman and DC, So
100%. And again, it was from a different era, obviously. So there's been some time in between. Hey man, my buddy Alex Saviuk is like that. I love Alex's work.
Exactly. Or, and because I'm so into Amethyst, all those guys, it's just good, honest, honor work. And sometimes it takes years and years and years of just that steady, honest work for people just to turn around and go, hey, thank you. God damn.
I hear you, man.
Consistent pile of excellence in my life.
Another writer like that, Paul Kupperberg. I love Paul's writing, and had his runs on Superman in the very late 70s and early 80s and stuff. And he's been on. He was one of those guys I got on for Terrificon, that Connecticut convention I went to in August. And I did a great interview with him before the show. Then he interviewed this amazing woman editor, Barbara Freelander, who worked on the DC romance books from 64 to 69.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And she was the editor on Swing with Scooter, which was like DC's like Archie knockoff. And
coming to Wonder Comics next year.
Scooter?
No, I'm joking. No.
That'd be fantastic. You should just like you had Jimmy like swear about Snapper Carr.
Oh, but I will say before I forget, the funny thing about Wonder Comics that I wanted to talk about that's funny for this show is because Young Justice hits so many of those like those deep Twitter fan bases, Pence and the Impulse. All those fan bases communicate with each other. The Let's Talk and the Talking Tim Drakes, they're all part of a group of really positive, excellent voices on Twitter. There's so much, so much attention on bullshit. But there's the Talking Let's Talk people are all genuinely positive and really love their stuff. And they got a sense that I might be an easy mark for whatever thing they're really into. So after Young Justice got announced and I brought back Amethyst and blah, 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 I started hearing from like every I don't even want to say like cultish character, but because we're talking about deep DC deep dives, but these for these fan bases, I might be their only hope, so pretty like oh, he's an easy target. Let's hit the Wonder Twins guy. He might be one of us. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's been very funny. So I get a lot of Blue Beetle fans just begging me for sympathy.
I can appreciate that. Well, and it was good to see.
Totally understand.
Good to see Ted in the Skull session with the Adam and Ryan Choi and the Rust when they were trying to solve the Phantom Zone problem. That was fantastic. Yeah, man. No, good stuff. No, man. Like I said,
and we're literally just getting started. And I was like, Andy Corey was the one to email me, said it's been a year. I went, holy shit. But then I was able to look back and go, well, we did everything we said we were going to do this year.
Awesome.
We launched Jinx World, we launched Superman, we launched Wonder Comics. We are off to the races, man. We're doing it.
I know you are. No, it's. Thank you for letting me be part of the ride and ask my few questions and get the full details. And yeah, man, let's talk either around Thanksgiving or around Christmas. That'd be beautiful.
David on here, and also like Mike's always hanging around here too. We'll get a Mike Oming in here. We'll get some guests.
Oh, that'd be I'm happy to talk to Mike separately, but it's fun to have guest stars and join on. Go on. What did you say? Who else?
Nick Darrington, who I'm doing Batman with.
I would love to have Nick. No, I've only had Nick on very briefly when he was working with John back in the day.
Right.
No, it would be great to get Nick back.
And it's interesting, Nick and David Marquez actually worked together on A Scanner Darkly, the movie A Scanner Darkly.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's crazy.
That's very cool. That's very, very cool. So, that's good stuff, son. All right, be well. There you go. Another new Bendis tapes in the books. Hopefully we'll be talking in the weeks, or if not, in a couple months. I'm sure there's new stuff to talk about, so we'll get Brian back and have more great conversations. Have a great Thanksgiving week, everybody. Honestly, I always say Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I know it has those horrible beginnings, and it really is unfortunate. But in the 300 plus years since, I think Thanksgiving has become a very inclusive and important holiday where we're thankful for what we have, our friends, our family, and I include you Word Balloon listeners in my friends and family. And thank you very much for your attention, for your patronage, and support. Truly. I couldn't do it without you. And it really means a lot. God, 13 plus years of doing Word Balloon and nothing but wonderful conversations. I really appreciate it, not only with creators, but when I meet the listeners in person or I get nice emails. I can't thank you enough for the support and the fact that you like what I do. And don't worry, I'm going to keep on doing it. Today's Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon listeners. Again, I tip my hat to you, League. I tip my cowl to you in Batman form. Thank you very much for your support through Patreon. Word Balloon is at patreon.com/wordballoon, or to get to that page, you can also click on the ad, the Patreon ad at the front page of wordballoon.com. But truly, thank you for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Word Balloon is also brought to you by Aftershock Comics. As I said, it's Christmas season. This is a great time to take advantage and buy some great Aftershock books for the comic book reader in your life and turn them on to a new series or a new graphic novel. Witchhammer, Aftershock's first original graphic novel from Cullen Bunn and Dalibor Talajic, is in comic shops December 19th. Also, Baby Teeth Year One from Donny Cates and Gary Brown, the first 10 issues of the series collected in a hardcover. That comes out December 5th. And you may want to check out Pestilence from Frank Thierry and Oleg Akunev. Now, the first trade is already available. You can make that a great Christmas present. And then in early January, trade 2 will be coming out. You can get those kinds of things. You can get The Art of Jim Starlin, a wonderful art book that Jim released and Aftershock has represented now for the current audience. Tremendous books, great genres by your favorite creators at Aftershock Comics. Check out full story descriptions, preview pages, and the diamond codes on these books to order through your local shop at AftershockComics.com. Thanks again for listening. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a great holiday weekend. More great Word Balloon coming in the days ahead. Be sure to stay tuned. And, obviously, with Stan's passing, I have a feeling we'll be talking to more creators who had their Stan Lee moment. And I have a feeling those will be talked about right here on Word Balloon. Until next time, Word Balloon is a copyrighted feature of Shaky Productions, copyright 2018.